Life's a ride, so let's make it count. Cherish every moment, that's what it's about. Tune in together, we're building our groove. Every beat, every laugh, we're ready to move. A little laughter, some love, we're soaring high. Every single episode reaching for the sky. News on the airwaves, spreading good vibes. Friends together, watch how our spirits rise. Kick back, unwind, leave the troubles behind. This podcast is gold, the treasure you'll find. With every word, we'll light up your day. Join the conversation, let's laugh all the way. A little laughter, some love, we're soaring high. Every single episode reaching for the sky. News on the airwaves, spreading good vibes. Friends together, watch how our spirits rise. Kick back, unwind, leave your troubles behind. This podcast is gold. Life's a ride. So
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How is everyone?
I'm good.
How are you? Sorry,
Good, how
I
are
was
you?
having a little bit of a technical issue there. I'm good, I think. Thank you. Okay, that's right. It's done. Okay, cool. Everything's right now. Sorry about that little delay in my saying hi, folks. My apologies. I was a little confused. I confused myself. It's not hard to do, so. Good morning, Mama Bear. Again, good to see you. Thank you for joining me today.
Yep. Hello, Trish.
You're having a good day today?
Yeah, not too bad. I had to go
Good.
get my mammogram. That was fun. That was my excitement for the day. Not.
Joe.
1 second, please. Hold on a second. What's up?
You're going to try these, and I want everybody to see your reaction. They're candied grapes.
Oh my god. Oh.
What is that?
I just threw up.
It's good.
Oh
She
my
gave it to
God.
They're sour. They're sour grapes. It's a fruit riot.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Never
I'm
do that
toe
again.
clipping that.
Oh. No.
Mom gave me one and I about almost threw.
I can't feel my tongue now. That was horrible. Why would anybody purposely eat that?
Yes, SRB. That is my new clip.
Why are you two here now? Go.
They're checking on you to make sure you're okay.
Oh my God, that was horrible. What was that?
It was a sour grape, she said.
That was not a grape. That was like pure oh.
Hell.
Are you happy? Did you get what you wanted out of that? Good Lord, that was disgusting. Ugh. Don't eat those, please. Describe the experience. Eddie, it was horrible. It's probably, I don't know. I don't think it's the thing I've ever had like that were those stupid are they candy warheads? Does that sound is that right? Okay, that was worse than a warhead. Good
Better
God.
than Sour Patch Kids.
No, Sour Patch Kids are nothing compared to that. It's still in my mouth.
Ew, coffee with ew.
Coffee gets rid of everything. That's better. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Right under the beginning of the show. That was wonderful. Probably why she did it. She loves my reactions to things. I guess I'm very animated for the most part. No, I don't want to try something else. She's insane. Anyway, that was horrible. Sour is not the word, Eddie. It goes above and beyond and way like my whole like everything inside my face sucked in at one time. Does that make any sense? That was the most sour thing I've ever had in my life. Ugh. Still there. Who the hell's gonna eat a whole bag of those? My teeth even have like a ugh.
Yep, bro. Everybody's awake now.
Good morning, folks. I'm glad you could see me in that mode. Let's see. Good morning, Rowena. Zakali's in the house. Welcome, by the way, Zakali. Welcome to the Discord. I didn't get to tell you that. Thank you for joining us there. Daniela Kiriako. It's been a while. We've missed you. It's great to see you here. Still green, too. That's amazing. Great to have you here. Rhode Island Housewives in the house. Good to have you. SRBB. Oh,
right,
now what? What now?
Try my iced coffee.
Why? What's in this?
You can smell colors.
Hospital?
Do you like it?
No,
Take another sip.
no. What are you trying to give me a heart attack or what?
I'm telling you, I'm gonna have my own damn podcast, and it's gonna be like, Mikey. Give it to Mikey. He'll eat anything. It's gonna be Joe.
No, no. That was Brady. What the hell? Why are you drinking that?
Can I be your co-host?
Absolutely. Listen, even if we have 5 subscribers, it would totally be worth it because we would laugh all the time.
What is it? What is that?
This is disgusting. So I messed up myself. So you'll find that funny. I thought I bought the Twix Zero Sugar Creamer, and it is coconut. You know how much I love coconut, right?
Oh, I'll drink that then. I like coconut.
Yeah, I'm being very sarcastic. I hate coconut.
Yeah, I got that.
Eddie.
We're next to each other.
Yeah. Well,
Now I've made my very expensive coffee drink with this espresso shot, so I have to drink it.
which means you're going to be trying to build a house in about 20 minutes.
I might.
Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye now. I love you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think I'd rather do the habanero, Eddie, because that was the most sourest thing I've ever had in my life. My tongue is numb from that. That's how sour it was. Anyway, Ida Toes, welcome. Good to see you. Donna Salamander, welcome back to you again. SRBBBBB. Great to have you here. One maiden nut. Eddie's in the house. The lovely Miss Wisdom speaks, and again, Daniela Kiriako. It's been a while, Mama Bear, since we've seen Daniela, hasn't it? Quite a while, I think.
So,
Wonderful, yeah. And she's still green. That's amazing to me. I love it.
Yay.
Rhode Island housewife is in the house. Miss Wisdom speaks. Always a pleasure. Dagburn, Johnny Gobble's dead floozy mother's in the house. Welcome back. Yay. Brandy B, that OG in the house. Good to see you, Brandy. Oh, it's still in there. Ugh. Jesse Jewel, what's happening, brother? Good to see you today. I hope you're having a great one. Oof. Trish Crow, wonderful to see you today as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Miss Rowena, yes, we saw you. We saw you. Trish Crow. Okay, I think I got about everybody in. Look at that. Happy Digoversary to you. 26 months. I think it's a little longer than that, though. I swear you guys that all came in here at the same time are just a little bit more than that. Probably.
Well, I was just at 30, so she may have been a couple months behind. I'm not sure.
Are you sure? Because I thought you guys all came at the same time. You, her, Molly, Tomboy.
Pretty close. I don't know that we all said, "Oh, here we are." But
Maybe,
we might have.
maybe
I
not.
don't know.
Either way, Wisdom, you know we love you. Grateful that you've been here this long. And I know it's been longer than 26. She's probably, because I'm telling you, I was just saying the other day, you guys, some of you guys are closer to 3 years. So it is what it is. It is what it is. We know the truth. That's all that matters. The fact is that you've been here that long. That's all that matters. And we love you to death. We wouldn't be here without you, and we wouldn't want to be here without you. So thank you so much for being in this community, in this family, part of this team for as long as you have. God bless. You know we love you. So, yeah. I think actually you broke 24 months too. You and Cassie both SRB, is my opinion. But Meg P, welcome. Good to see you. I'm glad you guys got a good laugh this morning.
Oh, that was.
Get rid of that taste.
I think
I
that was
can't.
probably the best.
That was horrible. Yes, almost. I thought it had been a while. Well, we missed you too, Daniela. Wonderful to have you back. See all these new faces that aren't new, all these older faces coming back, and I love that. I absolutely love that. And the new faces. Oh, sorry. We still have a bunch of new people coming in, guys. We broke. It just keeps growing. The subscriber number keeps going. Lance Wolf Nation. What?
Hi.
We having a class reunion today or what? Good to see you, brother. Another one we've missed. Wonderful to have you here. Welcome to the morning show. For those of you that haven't been here in a long time, we've been doing the morning show here for going on a year now, right?
Probably.
Yes. So we do things a little bit different on the morning show. We do a variety of things on Tuesdays and Thursdays just to see what's going on in the world. And then on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we do Coffee and a Cold Case, where we pull up a cold case that needs to have some attention, that hasn't had any attention for a while, to try to get some stuff going on with it. It's wonderful to have you back, Lance. So much. So happy to see you. I hope you're doing well, brother, and I hope you stick around. We really have missed you, sir.
Yes.
Lance was one of our original, when we started off in the true crime community, Lance was probably one of the first ones here, guys. So it is great to see you, bro. We'll have to get you back in the sauce, brother. Hopefully somebody will gift the membership and you'll pick it up. And we'll have you back in there, buddy. Let's see. Did I miss anybody else? I don't think so. Wow. Danielle and Lance. It's like a class reunion today. And literally, it's been like almost a year since we've seen Lance, too, isn't it?
It's been probably closer to 2.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Lance. We're ecstatic to see you, buddy. We have definitely missed you. I was just thinking about some of you guys the other day, wondering where everybody went to, but it doesn't. Like I said, it doesn't matter. You're here now. That's all that matters. Aurora, welcome to you. Great to see you today. Hope you're all having a great start to your morning, and I'm grateful that you all chose to start your day off with Mama Bear and I today to get us rolling into the world of YouTube. See what's going on in this crazy world that we live in day to day. What's new, what's old, who knows? But make sure that you grab a cup of Joe and keep that thing filled to stick with us. And again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Wherever you are, whoever you are, I hope it's good for you, because it's great to be here with you guys. It really is. I love this platform by far the best. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I love when you guys say that, because that really makes it feel like I'm doing good. I'm doing the right thing. I love seeing those things. I really do. And don't forget, you guys, please and thank you. More importantly, to hop on over to this beautiful lady next to me's channel. Hit that like button, subscribe if you have not yet, please, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And it's pinned at the top of the chat, like always. And please, let's help to get Mama Bear's channel up where it belongs. I really appreciate that, guys.
I broke 1,000 public watch hours. Finally.
Wow.
Just got 2,000 more to go.
We'll get it there. We'll get it there.
I know.
That went up pretty quick, though, from the last time, didn't it?
Let's see.
You were at what, 5 or 6?
5 or 6, I think, when like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Well,
So, I mean,
it'll.
not drastic, but
I think once you get in higher numbers, at least that's how I remember it here. Once I started to get into the higher numbers, it climbed faster because you're getting more views per se. So,
yeah.
What's your subscriber number at?
517, I believe.
Okay, we'll get that moving too.
Yeah, I mean, it's been slowly going up. I've noticed over the last few days or so, and I'm like, I haven't even been Whatever. Works for me.
Well, in your defense, though, yeah, like you'd have been neck and neck with me, if not ahead of me, if you would have been able to do it like I was doing it. You were working a full-time, part-time job, as I called it.
Yeah.
And being the mama bear and everything else that you have to do, plus being here and helping here, doing a lot here. And so it's hard to concentrate on your stuff when you were doing all that. So, yeah, we're going to make sure that Mama Bear gets her channel where it belongs. Thank you, Donna, for that. That's amazing. Appreciate that very much. 35 peeps in the house now. 19 likes, guys.
Thank you.
Let's see if we can make that match. And again, please don't forget to hit Mama Bear and hit the like button over there. Again, if you're not subscribed to Mama Bear, please do it. What's wrong with you? What's going on with your life? Come on now. Thank you, Aurora. Appreciate that very much. So like I said, today, guys, we're going to be looking at a multitude of different things and see what's going on in the world. Crazy, not crazy, funny, not funny, sad, bad. It doesn't matter. We're going to check it out, see what we come up with. And hopefully by the end of the show, I get you guys out of here with a smile on your face, as we always try to. That is my my goal by the end of the show, because we look at some horrible stuff in here, guys. And then, of course, I do run that new segment now where we put a little positivity because there's so much negativity going on. So I try to run that now too. And that's the show for today. So you guys have a great day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm just kidding. Miss Paula's in the house. Speaking of positivity, this lady here, you guys, every single day puts a positive comment out to get her day started. And I absolutely adore her. And I'm grateful that she's in this community as well with us. And the rest of you amazing people. Yes, great video, Mama Bear. Thank you so much for that.
Which one?
Hold on a minute here. See if I can pull it up here.
The Crooked House one?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the one I'm talking about. Miss Sherry said something about hold on a minute. Sorry. I'm behind.
I might. Was
the justice for Kimani and Latique.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say there was that one, and then last night
The Crystal McCrory Jones.
Yeah, for Jana.
That's awesome. Miss Jana, another amazing part of this community. We love Jana to death. Has been through so much with her sister, Crystal McCrory Jones. So thank you for putting that out as well. Guys, please go like those videos. Please and thank you. The Crooked House one we did the other day. Last time Mom Bears with us was an amazing story. Vicky Harrison, it is a class reunion. Wow, it's great to see you too. Thank you for doing it. Yes. I'll shut up so you can talk. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I just wanted to make sure to tell her. Thank you.
Yes. Captain Jenks is in the house today. Good to see you, brother. Thank you for joining us. This is our channel chef here. This guy swears up and down he's not a chef, but he sure does put out some interesting recipe thoughts. Let's see here. Brandy B, good to see you. Did you see the photos of Brandy's new house?
Yes, I did. It's awesome.
I think I like that one better than the first one.
I think I do too.
It's nice. You're falling into some good spots there, Miss Brandy. So I hope that's the one you end up in, and I hope that's nice, really nice. CJ Sky, welcome. Good to see you again from over the pond. All our UKers and people we have coming from all over the world, you guys. That's pretty awesome to me. Thailand, UK, Australia, Norway, Finland, Poland, South Africa. I love it. You got the help. Congratulations, girlfriend. Good for you. Proud of you once again, and I'm grateful that you and Matthew have a wonderful place like that to be able to put your head down at night. That's awesome.
Yay. Congratulations, honey.
Ever heard of the 1803 Easton Massacre? I have, Eddie. Maybe good for a good content choice for your future. It's not true per se. Usually your usual style. Wait a minute. Hold on. Back up. Have you ever heard of the 1803 Easton Massacre? It may make for a good content choice for you in the future to thought. It's not true per se. Like your usual style, but rather more. Cool. Absolutely.
Historical crime.
Yes. I love that kind of stuff. I'm writing it down right now, Eddie, to look into it. 100%. some of the cold cases I've been pulling about. I've been looking at some of the older ones, the really, really older ones, because a lot of them don't get airplay. They don't get, we're doing it, Ro. Don't worry. I promise you we're going to do it. We are going to pull up the JFK stuff and have a run on that. We ran yesterday for cold case. We ran the Black Dahlia case. Good morning, Miss Yvette. Thank you for joining us. Well, I'll tell you what, you guys can put me you guys have done it more than once. You can take me from a bad place to a great place, from a bad mood to a great mood every time. It never fails. So I got to thank you guys personally for that.
You're
Truly.
welcome.
That goes to all of you. And I appreciate it, Mom Bear. I appreciate it. Anybody that's having a bad day, all you got to do is come in here to this amazing community and it will flip you upside down. That's a fact. Thanks again, Eddie, for that. I wrote that down. That's a good point. I have heard of it. I don't know details, but I've heard of it. So let's see. We got 43 peeps in here. Again, guys, make sure to hit that like button over there on Mama Bear's side. The link is pinned at the top of the chat. Please and thank you. We got 27 likes, 43 people. We're getting there. We're getting there. Oh, I'm sorry, Donna.
Cold case. Did way back in the beginning, did we cover Marina Bolter?
Marina Walter.
Bolter. She's from here in Indiana.
It sounds familiar, but I can't tell you.
When
for
I was
sure.
reading it, it sounded familiar, but I don't know if I just read it and like took notes way back when and planned to and just never got around to it, or
we may have. We were way more. Yeah, we I know we've done some stuff in Indiana purposely.
It's a was it let me see. There was January was like the oh shoot, where's my paper go?
I know we were way more disorganized back then. So
Yeah.
we don't, you know what I mean? We didn't have as many things locked down, but Donna says she's from Indiana too.
Awesome.
End of the line. Welcome. I love your optimism. It's where well, that's wonderful. Thank you. See, that is my point. I'm telling you, I'll be honest, and you can ask Mama Bear. I'm not just saying this right now because of this. I was in a kind of a crappy mood this morning and yesterday. You know what I mean? And since we've been in here this morning, it's already completely flipped 360. So thank you guys for that. It absolutely is a fact. And I've said this before for over the past 3 years that if I don't come in here and do this at least once a day, I don't have a normal day. This is what makes my day go the right way. Oh, she's about an hour from Delphi.
Let's see. Yeah.
Stay away from Delphi, please. Yoy.
See, how far am I from Delphi? I forget.
I hope far away. You don't say. Okay. Listen, smart butt. Speaking of smart butts, where's Kathy at this morning?
Her kiddos aren't feeling too great today.
Are they both sick?
Yeah, Libby was coughing this morning.
Aw. No.
Yeah.
Poor Cass. She can't get rid of this stuff. Her and her husband had it, and now the kids had it. I know Lincoln wasn't feeling good yesterday, but not Libby. Little Liberty.
Yeah.
No. That's not. We cannot have that. We can't have that. Hold on here. I'm trying to make sure everybody got their notification. Maybe. Well, I know a couple of these sleepyheads are still in bed, but.
So Donna, I'm about an hour and roughly 15 minutes from Delphi. So we're pretty close.
So you're about the same distance from Flora too, roughly, because Flora and Delphi are like not even minutes from each other.
Yeah, I was gonna say their floor is right next to it.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Matthew's been feeling sick on and off. It's probably this weather change too.
That's what I think.
Yeah, we'll give Matthew a big hug from all of us, Brandy, and hopefully he feels better. Delphi is this. Yes, it is, Lance. It's, especially at this point, it's very sad. just as much as the
too.
Florida case was too. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, Donna said she was south of Delphi, and I said I am too.
End of the line says the other side of the world, but minutes away. And that's what it's such a great thing about this is that, like I was saying, we have people that are coming in from all over the place: Australia, the UK, Finland, Poland, South Africa, and we're all just right here with each other. I love that. I love it, love it, love it. We got some Aussies in here.
Awesome, Donna. I am on the west side for right now.
If you guys want to throw where you're tuning in from in the chat, especially some of the people that haven't been here or are newer, you're welcome to do that. We love seeing that. That's how we know where everybody's at and keeps us all together in one big family. I love that. 46 peeps in the house, 30 likes. We're catching up, you guys. That's awesome. All right, let's see what's going on out there in the world today. I know Mama Bear has graced us with some more of this crazy stuff. We'll get to that a little bit later. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Stupid criminals, guys. There's so many of them out there, and those ones were killing me the other day. All right, let me see. Where are we going to start? Where are we going to start? So much stuff to throw up there. Where do I start?
Good morning, Ray.
Good morning, Ray Knightley. Thank you for joining us. Let me see here. All right, bear with me, guys. The thing's dragging again this morning for some reason. I don't like it. Can't wake up in the morning or something. It's crazy.
But that other thing stopped popping up since. We
Yes,
fixed it.
you fixed that for me. Thank you.
Hey.
I haven't seen that thing. I was just thinking about that too. Like, is that it? It's slow, so I'm gonna have to go in and do a little boost in here at some point and make something happen here. Okay, so
There's Miss Alicia.
oh yes, I think she was doing something this morning. No big deal. Thank you so much for joining us, Alicia. Alicia, sorry. Don't ask me why that came out like that. Morning, Minnesota. Eddie's tuning in from Minnesota. CJ's in Australia. That's what it was. Okay, so there is one of our Aussies right there. Minnesota. I love saying it like that. Of course, Cap is the Jersey guy in the house. Miss Wisdom said the 803. Beckles is in Arizona. Welcome, Beckles. Good to see you. Lance, of course, is here in Ohio, the greatest state of them all. Just kidding.
Wow, Vicky, you're from Indiana too?
Brady B's in the Arkansas. Oh, yeah, I didn't know that. Vicky's in Indiana. We got a lot of Indiana people in here, too. That's crazy.
That's because we're awesome.
Ah, well.
Despite
South Carolina.
Delphi.
I was going to say, let's take Delphi out of that and then say that again. Yes, you're right. Upper Michigan, Miss Alicia. You're okay, Alicia. Don't worry about that. I understand, Brady. No worries. You do what you got to do. Melbourne. That's awesome, CJ. Love Australia. Love it. Always wanted to go to the reef and the outback just to see what it's all about.
Whatever, you want to go see them giant spiders.
The hell I do. That's why I don't want to go. The only reason why. David kept saying, "We'll get you over here, Dago." Well, guys said, "No, I don't know, David. Not after seeing that you can put a leash on a spider and walk it around down there. No, I'm good."
What else was it David was talking about?
Drop bears.
Yeah.
That's a joke down there. That is a drop bear. Rhode Island housewife. Good to see you, dear. Thank you for being here. Indiana
Hello,
too.
end of the line.
Yes.
Australia too.
Love our Aussies. Got me stumps from Alberta, Canada, up north here. Tanya Jordan, welcome from Portland, Oregon. That's awesome. We don't have too many people coming from Oregon. That's amazing. When Maiden said, with the Dega, the Texans could argue with you about that 100, right? We got some Texans in here too. And Candy and Tomboy Charm are from Texas, and a couple other peeps, I believe. I call Texas hell. That's what it is to me. Too hot. Too hot. We don't like our heat like that. Not at all. I'll deal with our bipolar weather here in Ohio before going down there.
Hello, Summer.
Summer Thunder. Coming from, we got a Jersey girl in the house. That's awesome. Brown Eyes. Welcome from New Mexico.
It's two Jersey peeps, because isn't Cap from Jersey?
Yeah, Jersey, yeah. New Mexico here. Been here since before you started your channel. You were coming into what's name's chat. I can't. Oh,
That's okay. We know who you're talking about.
you know
Brown Eyes.
exactly who you mean. You don't even need to say his name. It's like the Beetlejuice thing. Yep, I heard it was coming, SRB. So it's sunny here now, but gloomy at the same time. So
I got a thing on my phone, something about thunderstorm warning. I was like, you know what? Just stop.
It's sunny on one half of the sky and it's black on the other side. So it's coming. Don't worry. If I disappear, you guys know why. Thank you, Stitches. Appreciate that end of the line. I really do. I love us together too. I think we bounce off each other very well. And I wouldn't do this with anybody else. I promise you that. Mama Bear's amazing.
Are you north, south, east, or west? Just curious.
Awesome stuff.
And Stitches, I got bounced, had to find you again. What?
That's what's been happening to people. They get knocked out of the algorithm. Well, they get what do you call unsubscribed from the channel, bounced out of the algorithm, and then have to come find it again. It's crazy. Guys, so if anybody is supposed to be subscribed or you choose to be, and go check to make sure you are, because that's been happening a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been that knucklehead has been banned from YouTube, is my understanding. And
he came back under a different name, but
did he?
He's on TikTok.
I think he's mostly on TikTok.
Yeah. We're good.
Yeah.
We're good right here. South Coast, Australia, East Coast. Okay. Where's Miss oh Lord. Oh my God. How did I forget her name? Lisa is from what is it called? Victoria. That's it. Thank you.
I was like, Victoria?
Victoria, Australia, yes. And then my friend David is from Perth. So it's probably where you're at. I might be wrong with this end of the line, but it's 11:59 here now. So it should be right around midnight where you're at, if I'm right, depending on where you're at there. Nice.
He was a creator way back when. We're not going to mention who.
Thank you. Again, yeah, it's like Beetlejuice. You don't want to say it more than once. Thank you, Brown Eyes. I appreciate that. I try my hardest. I really do. Everybody out here deserves to have that type of a personality, in my opinion. And there's too many of the other. So I try to stay as positive as possible and bring the best I can to you guys, because you all deserve it, in my opinion. All right. Thank you, Eddie. God, you guys are going to make me blush today. Come on now. All right. There's that there. Kansas City. Kelly Coker's in the house. Tennessee. All right. Oh, I get it. You touched the wrong thing. Yes. You have the same issue I do, hitting buttons. Don't hit buttons. My moms are always telling me, stop hitting buttons. They go. All right, guys. Let's see. We're going to start off with this New England situation. Long Crime did a little thing on this yesterday. And For those of you that weren't following, they were up to 8 bodies and found another. This is getting a little strange to me. It's starting to remind me of the Ladybird Lake situation. Well, thank you, Donna. I appreciate that. That's the whole point in it. That's why I do it, because I've always stated, and Mama Bear probably can attest to this. I believe I said this a long time ago, but if I can promote positivity to one person, that person can promote it to 2 others, and those 2 can promote it to 3 or 4 others, and blah, 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 blah. And that's the whole point. We have so much negativity out here. We got to try to push that positive influence out there, guys. We need it. We need it so bad as a whole. So,
Thank you, Brown Eyes. I appreciate that.
and we'll always do that. Yeah, that's my understanding. Eddie, we'll see. Don't quote me yet, but that's from my understanding. There was 8. They had found the 8th body, and then there was something that popped up that said they found another one. And I'm like, I'm not 100% if that wasn't an overlay from the 8th body they found, or if there was a 9th. So, and smiley face, yes, Lance, 100%. Devil Woman's in the house today. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Good morning to you, Mark Schumann. Welcome back, brother. Good to see you today as well. All right, so let's check this out and see what they're talking about here to make sure that we know exactly where we're at with this. Again, Jesse put out a thing with Long Crime on this yesterday, catching everybody up on this. So here we go. And let me know if there's any issues with the audio, guys. I'll do my best to make sure that it is as loud as it can be. Sometimes it's not good enough, and you might have to put headphones on, but hopefully it is. All right.
To express our sincere condolences to the family of Suzanne Wormser, who was a victim of this heinous incident and did not deserve to lose her life at the hands of the suspect.
As panic over a possible New England serial killer hits a fever pitch, police in Groton, Connecticut say they've solved one case, and it's far more personal than any social media rumor. But does this finally shut down the online hysteria? Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to sit down with a Rhode Island police sergeant who's been wrapped up in all of this, actually investigated one key piece of this puzzle, and we are going to try to make sense of everything that is going on. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. Jesse Weber. Now, I said we were going to follow this story, and we certainly are, because what happened? We covered it last time. There's been some updates. For weeks, the discovery of human remains across New England has sparked panic online. At least 8 bodies. That number's interesting. We'll talk about it. But at least 8 bodies, maybe 7, have been found scattered across Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. Some Facebook groups are even speculating about a serial killer on the loose. But in Groton, Connecticut, police were quietly piecing together what they say is a far more personal tragedy, the brutal murder of 58-year-old Suzanne Wormser, allegedly at the hands of a man she once lived with. On April 25th, police announced the arrest of 68-year-old Donald Koffel, charging him with Wormser's murder, tampering with evidence, improper disposal of a body, and those gruesome details that were outlined in an...
Good God, this guy looks like he's on his deathbed and he killed someone? Jesus. Welcome, Moonlight. Good to see you today, dear. Good morning to you.
arrest warrant obtained by Law and Crime, they reveal an alleged calculated and horrifying crime. And we're going to get into those details a little bit later. But with one suspect in custody, the bigger question now lingers. Does this officially shut down the rampant speculation about a New England serial killer? Does that put to rest all of these rumors? Maybe, maybe not. Groton police insist their case is closed. Wormser's death was a targeted crime, they say, not the work of a shadowy predator. Yet multiple other bodies have turned up across the region since March, with each discovery fueling social media questions, true crime speculation, panic theories about a killer or killers. And despite the online speculation, law enforcement agencies across New England, they're adamant there is no evidence connecting these cases. And that's according to reporters for Rolling Stone magazine who contacted departments in all affected jurisdictions, receiving consistent denials of any connection between the deaths, except for the Rhode Island State Police, which it appears didn't respond to the request for comment. Norwalk Chief of Police James Walsh told the Rolling Stone, "There's no evidence to support the fact that any death investigation of Norwalk is related to a serial killer." In New Haven, Connecticut, where 60-year-old Denise Leary's remains were found in some brush behind a home, Police emphasized that there were no signs of foul play, saying there's no indication that the woman's remains found in New Haven are the result of a homicide. Denise Leary was suffering from some mental health diagnosis, and her remains were found near where she lived. The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner performed an autopsy and was unable to establish an exact cause of death. The Town of Groton Police Chief Louis Uzzaro directly addressed the social media frenzy, saying there's multiple agencies investigating different parts of this. What I can tell you is there's been multiple incidents, including some that we've investigated involving missing people, that folks on social media seem to perceive as a serial killer. I can tell you we don't have any evidence of that. Regarding the Wormser case specifically, the City of Groton Chief David Burton had this to say.
So we have databases that the state agencies as well as ourselves participate in. Those databases did not result in any information coming back to us to say that anything was related. In addition, we monitor the same sources as everybody else does in the community. When individuals provide information from out of state, and we can contact those police departments, we reach out and talk to their investigators to find out if there's any link. We have no information that links our incident to anything else that took place within the state or outside in the surrounding area.
But the rumors of a serial killer truly reached a fever pitch when an anonymous post in a Facebook group, originally named New England Serial Killer, claimed that bodies were buried at Scarborough Beach in Narragansett, Rhode Island, sparking police efforts to search the area with cadaver dogs. That page, which has apparently since lost its name for an unknown reason, according to a post from the group's administrator, has garnered more than 67,000 members. And that is what brings me now to bring on our special guest, the sergeant himself who investigated these claims, Sergeant Brent Husman of the Narragansett Police. Thank you so much for coming on. Really good seeing you. Appreciate you taking the time and also the great work that you and your team do. So let's start here. What did Narragansett Police find and how did they come to begin this investigation?
So what we found was nothing. If you want the too long didn't read, that is what we got from where we searched. But now let's backtrack to how we got the case. Over the Easter weekend on the 19th, we were contacted by multiple people via email, phone call, Facebook on its messenger. We were advised of some ominous posts in this New England serial killer Facebook group and their sister Facebook group. They were all anonymous and they were definitely eerie, almost poetic-like. And they alluded to bodies being buried at the northern part of Scarborough Beach, which is known as Black Point. There are ruins of a carriage house from the Gilded Age there, known as the Windswept Ruins. And there are alleged to be 6 bodies buried vertically facing the water. And it was definitely ominous. It was worrisome for multiple people. Dozens contacted us over the weekend. So on Monday, when our unit came in, we hit the ground running. We contacted the administrator of the Facebook post. We received screenshots of every post, some of which were deleted at the time, but she already had screenshots. And we began to kind of piece it together, read it over, and see really what we were dealing with here. As you know, anonymous Facebook posts are never really anonymous. The group admin could see the name of who posted it, and it appeared to be more of a basic account with no personal information, what some refer to as a troll account or a burner account. And in the comments section of some of these posts and other people's posts, he basically told them we were, there's no crime explicitly stated. I'm being metaphorical. I'm a storyteller. He alluded to working on a novel, but the people in the group would not have known that because it was an anonymous original post. So Monday we hit the ground running. We did a quick search of the area that day. It is a large area with there being beach, trails, and woods. So we felt it would be best to get cadaver dogs to search the area as well. So we coordinated with the Rhode Island State Police for a Wednesday search of the area. I had my 3 detectives go down with their 2 dogs. They independently searched the area one by one. They came to the conclusion that there was no indication from either of the canines of any remains in the area. But so what we basically had was maybe a half cockeyed confession, but with no bodies. So we didn't believe it was credible information, but it was definitely worrisome. And there was a lot of community concern about this. To have potentially 6 bodies buried in town would be a shocking, horrifying discovery. So it's something we wanted to get out there and kind of make sure it wasn't anything. I'd rather do something and go over the board with the search than not do enough and it be something.
Well, I'll tell you, if it wasn't clear by now from a lot of the stories we cover, I think it's fair to say that crime is rampant right now. And you know what? That is especially true with cybercrime. Cybercrime is growing more dangerous and widespread. It is threatening businesses like never before. I mean, did you know that in 2024, 1 in 5 businesses fell victim to ransomware, and half of those were small businesses? Yeah, let that sink in for a second. Now, here's the good news. Apollo Networks is here to protect your business and help you fight against these business-ending threats. They use the latest cybersecurity technologies to monitor your systems 24/7, stopping threats before you even know they're there, preventing downtime, and also safeguarding QR code on screen to get a free network.
The group administrator herself is very vested.
You know how these rumors spread or anything like that?
As of right now, we're not
Sorry,
looking at
guys.
charges. Nothing is pending. The group administrator herself is very vested and emotionally tied to this. She has a deep passion for it, and she was very helpful.
Okay, good. That's good to know. So let me ask you the general question now. What is your response to this ongoing public concern about a potential serial killer in New England? Because it just doesn't hit, Rhode Island. It hits other states. Do you see there could be something here? Do you see a pattern that would support any of these fears?
So first thing, this has definitely hit a fever pitch. Everyone that I know has basically asked me, is there a serial killer? Anyone that I've seen in the public, a lot of people are concerned. It has definitely hit a fever pitch, almost hysteria-like with a lot of people, especially locally. We are a tight-knit community here. As of right now, I have not worked any of the other cases. I have not seen the case files. Only as of recently, some of the cause of death and manner of death were released. So looking at what I have right now, I do not believe there is a serial killer. Unfortunately, addiction runs rampant with some of these bodies that you do find out in the wilderness, by the woods, trails, water. Homeless people do tend to live in these types of areas. And unfortunately, self-harm is still a large problem in our community. The other aspect of it, the arrest was made in Groton. Another thing with homicides, it's mostly people that you are known to you. It's domestic related. It's business partners. It's people that are acquaintances. So, and that's what it looks like in the Groton. It was an ex-roommate. But as of right now, without looking at each individual case file, I cannot say that there is a serial killer or any links between any of those other cases. But it's something we did explore for us. But that's where we're at right now with that.
Let me explain to our audience what we're talking about here. So I mentioned earlier that while Groton police were able to put a cap on that investigation, there are other jurisdictions that are still investigating what happened to these other people. We did a full breakdown in a previous episode of Sidebar, so I encourage everybody to check that out. But just to kind of give a quick recap, March began with 2 grim findings on the 6th. 35-year-old New Yorker Paige Fannon's body in Norwalk River, Connecticut, and an unidentified human skull discovered the same day. 13 days later, March 19th, Suzanne Wormser's remains were found in a suitcase near a Groton cemetery 80 miles east of Norwalk. Then the discoveries accelerated. March 20th, 59-year-old Denise Leary's remains were found in a wooded area behind a house in New Haven, Connecticut. March 26th, a 56-year-old woman was found in the woods of Foster, Rhode Island, 8 months after she went missing. But we're choosing not to name her because it's our understanding her family believes that that case is not connected to any kind of serial killer theory. April brought more questions. On April 9th, unidentified remains were found in Hillingly, Connecticut. April 10th, more unknown remains turned up in Framingham, Massachusetts. And most recently, on the 22nd, a woman was found dead near a Springfield, Massachusetts bike path. Police identified her as 45-year-old Megan Meredith, and police are investigating her death as a homicide, but Springfield Police's homicide unit called it an isolated incident. So, Sergeant, from a law enforcement perspective, if this was a serial killer, and there was at least a concern about a serial killer, what would you be expecting to see more of? What would be the pattern that you might, even though I know you haven't had a chance to look at these individual cases, but you're reading the reports, you're seeing the reporting on this, you're being asked questions about it. if there was a serial killer, what specific criteria would you be looking at? What kind of pattern would you be looking at to make this more of a legitimate theory?
I would be looking at the MO, what it is, the manner of which, when I speak of manner of death, that would be homicide, suicide, accidental, natural, or undetermined. So I would be looking at if they were a homicide. So I'd rule out the rest. I'd rule out self-harm. I'd rule out natural causes, and I'd rule out, and then I would stick with homicide at that point. We would then look at the cause of death. If it's the same type of weapon, same situation, same type of victim, such as someone that might possibly be a sex worker or homeless, someone that might not know their attacker, their accuser. So we rule out things like domestic situations, ex-boyfriends, girlfriends, ex-spouses. But we would have to really rely on the medical examiner's office to provide us the forensic pathology, give us the manner of death, and then the cause of death. Some of the cases you've referenced, they were basically just bones. They didn't have anything. One was just, I believe, a partial skull. And that presents a lot of other issues when you don't have maybe an exact manner or cause of death. You just have a skull, and that is it. But once again, without looking at all those case files and reading the reports, it is hard to make a kind of it is hard to make a 100% yes or no what this is or what this isn't. But as we do know, serial killers are quite rare, and most homicides are conducted by someone that is known to you, whether it be domestic or some other form of arrangement.
Well, I wonder if people look at this and say, if there really was a serial killer, how much would the police department and the various agencies, how much would they reveal to the public? If they say, yes, we do suspect this could be all connected and there is a serial killer, the fear that would generate. I mean, it's already people are a little bit on edge. How do you balance that? What do you reveal?
That is a great question. You have to balance public safety with the privacy of the families and the investigation. Active investigations the cards need to be held close to our chest at some point. We can't reveal too much, but you would have to balance public safety. And that's kind of where we were with this. We wanted to get it out that we believe this to be a hoax, that there was no bodies found in town. We wanted to kind of nip that in the bud before it spread to something even further. Sometimes with the investigations, you can't release a lot of information, whether that be it is an active investigation, it's unknown, we're pending results, toxicology, forensic pathology results. So when you have that, not a lot of information out, it kind of
what, Meg?
for these rumors to swell. And that's where you see the online chat, the banter going back and forth, and that's where the rumors kind of really take over, and that's how we get to a fever pitch like this. Unfortunately, but when you have active investigations, sometimes you can't release certain information yet because you either don't have it or it's too pertinent to the investigation to release publicly. But you do have to balance the interest of public safety if you believe there is someone actively out in your community versus the privacy and the sanctity of the investigation.
And you wonder whether the arrest here would weaken the possibility of a serial killer behind this. I mean, we talked about the individual circumstances, unidentified remains, different ways people were found. And I actually want to go back to this. I want to go back to the arrest that rocked Groton, Connecticut, and now has put a new kind of a new factor to consider in all of this. So 68-year-old Donald Koffel now stands accused of murdering his roommate, Suzanne Wormser, whose dismembered remains were found, police say, just 800 feet from their shared apartment. And the city of Groton chief David Burton broke down the apparent timeline of events to the media.
Both the victim and the suspect knew each other, and this was a targeted event. Let's go over a timeline. On 3/19/25, we responded to a crime scene at Colonel Ledger Cemetery where the victim was located. Detectives
I did, Meg. I said some of them.
in the area and checking for video coverage, which could assist in uncovering what had happened along with establishing a timeline. Additionally, follow-up was performed and on leads that were received via the department's social media page, as well as calls placed to the department by community members. This included contacting other police departments in surrounding states to research whether or not the reported incidents were related. On 4/11/25, a tip line was established, which began to receive additional information. And on 4/16/25, a tip received from a concerned citizen provided a possible victim identification and led us to Allen Street. On 4/17/25, the
Thank you, Wisdom.
Allen Street residence was searched and another crime scene was discovered and processed. This resulted in the initial identity of a suspect who was interviewed at that time as a person of interest. On 4/18,
Meg said, I take it these people were either not reported missing or all from the. Some of them weren't reported missing. If I remember right, there was a woman and her daughter that weren't, and there was, I can't remember the exact situation for the rest of them, but in some senses, yes, that's correct.
with the initial testing completed, the two crime scenes were connected. On 4/22/25, the suspect was interviewed for a second time, and on the same day, a witness came forward with specific details about the crime as told to them by the suspect. And on 4/23/25, the suspect was interviewed for a third time, and at that time confessed to the murder, providing details that matched the scene documentation as well as evidence collected by the investigators.
Now, these chilling details from the arrest warrant reveal an alleged calculated killing and disturbing cover-up. On March 19th, a witness reported a foul-smelling black suitcase near Colonel Ledyard Cemetery. The police made a horrific discovery. The warrant reads, officers manipulated the suitcase to expose the content and discovered it was a female human torso that had been wrapped in a black trash bag. Investigators reviewed traffic camera footage to determine the suitcase appeared there between February 13th and 18th, 2025, but the breakthrough came on April 16th, when Wormser's sister called the FBI tip line after recognizing the victim's description. So police did a welfare check at Wormser's apartment. They didn't find her. And the property manager revealed that Donald Koffel, Wormser's live-in companion, had been the apartment's sole occupant before being hospitalized. So what police discovered during their April 17th search was nothing short of chilling. Their search led them to a baseball bat, and according to the warrant, at the end of the bat, investigators noticed what appeared to be a dried blood-like substance and brown hair strands that were struck to the end of it. Investigators noticed the arm of the sofa bed in the middle of the living room had significant discoloration that appeared to be dried blood-like substance. And the case took a dramatic turn when a friend of Koffel's came forward with disturbing information. According to the arrest warrant, witness 2 said at some point Koffel went to the hospital, and when he came back, Koffel told him his crack cocaine was missing and it was worth $200. Witness 2 said Koffel told him the female resident of apartment 161 stole his crack and that he was going to kill her. Witness 2 said about a month or two later, Koffel came back to his house and told him they were not going to see the lady again and that she was gone. So confronted with DNA evidence and the witness account during questioning, Koffel's denials crumbled. And he eventually apparently confessed. He allegedly told police, all right, man, I did it. I hit her in the head with a bleeping baseball bat and it cracked her bleeping head open. He also told police he kept her body in the apartment for a little over a week before dismembering her and disposing of her remains. He was arrested, charged with murder, tampering with evidence, improper disposal of a body. He's looking at life in prison if convicted. Sergeant, I know this is a factor in this case, and I kind of laid it all out. What do you make of this development? And
That's
again,
crazy. End of the line.
You said before how some of these crimes are personal, and they know.
Thank you, Wisdom.
But just your overall thoughts on this and the details of this alleged crime.
It is a disturbing case, and it does draw attention to the fact that domestic violence is so prevalent, and it's such a major concern. When people are close to you, those can kind of be the most violent situations that we walk into as police officers, and that definitely proved this head reading the arrest warrant from Groton Police. It definitely draws attention, I would say, away from the serial killer aspect. It makes it much more personal and personally much more concerning when it is someone that you share a room with, you share a life with.
And just final thoughts, what would you advise everybody who's looking into this? We're going to stay on top of it as well, but what would you advise everybody who's trying to find some answers as to a possible connection or just the circumstances behind the deaths of these individuals?
I think it's very important that we remember each individual body that is found was a person. They have parents, they have loved ones, they might have children, coworkers, neighbors, people that care about them. So never remove the personal aspect from these cases. Each person was an individual, and we have to remember them and their life. So remember that when you're posting online, when you're talking about it, you are talking about someone's family, and their family might be reading these posts, concerned, following up. Hopefully, we are starting to quell the public fear of a serial killer, because it is, as you said, reached a fever pitch. It is a main concern right now. And when you're looking online, you have to be cautious when you read anonymous posters on Facebook. They are doing this for a reason. They are looking to get a rise in a desired reaction from these groups. When you post to a group like the New England Serial Killer Group, I know their title is now gone, but when you post to a group like that, you have like-minded individuals that are all looking for answers right now. And sometimes there is a confirmation bias when you read these, that you have a conclusion in your head already that there is a serial killer, and you're using whatever information, what logical hoops you have to jump through to get to that conclusion that there is a serial killer. So with that said, be mindful of what you read online and be a little bit cautious and do your own research.
And if people have legitimate information, though, right, they want to help, what would you encourage them to do? Because sometimes the community can really be quite beneficial in these ongoing and unknown investigations.
I've said it once, I'll say 100 times, nosy neighbors will help solve crimes. We'd rather have the information as a police department than you not give it to us and hold it to your chest and it comes out later on. We always rather have the information. Contact us, email, non-emergency dispatch line, anonymous tip line. Police departments rather have the information. That way we can use it, see where we are, and follow it if need be. But we always rather have the information. Send us your tips. Don't hold it to your chest, and get it out there to the police departments or your local authorities.
So for now, Mr. Koffel is being held on a $1 million bond. His next hearing is scheduled for June 10th. People will continue to look into this. We're going to stay on top of it. But listen, Sergeant Brent Kuzman, really thank you so much for the time. Thank you for the work that you and your team have done. And thank you for the advice and the suggestions you have given to the community at large about this, because I think it's important to hear, especially in today's day and age. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jesse.
All right, guys. So that's it for that segment. It's a real situation. Let's see. It was 7 bodies in 2 months, and then the 8th body, I believe, I believe. Don't get me, quote me, okay. Let me see here. That's what I believe. That's how I think it went down. Yeah. And I think that's it on that one. But it's still going down, guys. So we'll see what happens here over the next week or so. Fingers crossed that they don't find any more bodies. Of course, we don't want any more of this to happen, but I still think it needs to be looked at like that. Sorry, that's my opinion. Yeah, I can agree. But the man looks like he's on his deathbed, though. I can't imagine him being able to do all that. But then again, looks are deceiving. Good morning, Elizabeth. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate you. Right. Very good point, Donna. Very good point. Agreed. All right. Let's see, what do we have coming up next here? What do you think on this so far, Mama Bear, about the whole thing in general?
I don't know.
Do you think it could be a serial killer, or do you think it's just coincidental situations?
I don't know. I would have to see like a map of like where they're all located and like more of the facts behind
Right.
to see if there's like similarities. of any sort, and without that, I can't really say.
Mm-hmm.
But it is kind of weird. 9, just kind of out of the blue. It's definitely weird.
Yeah, it's definitely off. I agree.
Yep.
I mean, like I said, me, I think it's a huge possibility, but I think we need to. I agree. We need to see more information before we can make a full blown judgment on that. But again, it's the same thing we said about Lady Bird Lake, and I'm still convinced. I'm convinced at this point that Lady Bird Lake is a serial situation, in my opinion. The plan to it, it's not just coincidental stuff.
Mm-hmm. I can see
So,
that.
hold on a minute here.
Hello, Elizabeth. Yeah, where's my map, girl?
I agreed. We need Molly in here. Molly could have that figured out within a matter of minutes. All right, guys, give me a minute to load up the next segment here. Like I said, my apologies and thank you for your patience. It's doing its own thing, taking forever to load. I don't know if it's the signal, if it's the system. I don't know what it is, but we'll figure it out here. Just thank you for your patience. Thank you, Donna. Lord, this is taking forever. Jeez, I'm so sorry. Come on now. You know what I think it is it states and it's doing smart download updates in the background, and that slows it down. And even when I don't want it to do it, it does it. I have certain things that are set to download automatically, and I'm gonna have to take that off because I think that's what's been doing this.
Could do it. I'll be right back.
Alrighty. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Good Lord. Maybe. I have all this stuff prepared and it's still not running. Thinking it would be okay, but it because that thing keeps slowing it down. No matter how many times I get rid of it. That's why it does it in the morning and it doesn't do it in the afternoon. It's crazy. Okay. Are you gonna work for me now? Come on. Plus, Yeah, wisdom. That's exactly what it's doing, and I keep stopping it, and it keeps going back in. I'm gonna have to change settings or something. All right, guys. I just wanted to give you a little update with the Karen Reed situation. For those of you that have been following it, I'm sure you know, but some people may not be. All right, it's loading now. It wasn't loading there for a minute. Creator tools and settings. Bingo. Thank you. Let me write that too. It's all right, SRB. I won't hit that many buttons. I know. Just 1, 2, and I'm done. I'll get to that here. Let me get this up and moving for you guys first. Excuse me. Come on. Load up. Okay. So yesterday, Jen McCabe was testifying again, and we all know what happened the last time she did this. So just a little insight into what was going on in that. That's okay, Eddie. It's okay. I haven't much either, but I tried to keep up on the details of it just so I know what's going on. That's a good question, end of the line. It's a mess. That's a fact. Right now, it's definitely a mess.
Ms. McCabe, you testified at a grand jury in April of 2022, did you not?
I did, yes.
What's up, Steven?
Before you testified, you took an oath, very much like the oath that you took before you testified in this case, correct?
Correct.
You swore to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, correct?
Correct.
And that included the whole truth at the state grand jury, correct?
Correct.
Which she didn't
It was
do.
only weeks, several weeks, but weeks after this incident, right? April 26th versus January 29th, 2022. Is that right?
Correct, yes.
Things were much fresher in your mind then than they are now.
I wouldn't necessarily say that.
Especially something as momentous as an admission from my client that she hit him. Would you agree?
Would I agree that she said that?
Would you agree that that would be fresh in your mind? Something as momentous as that. You wouldn't forget that.
I will never forget it.
You wouldn't overlook that.
I will never forget it.
You would not overlook that either, would you, Ms. McCabe?
I answer the questions I'm asked.
Can you answer the question that I just asked? You're not answering my question. Would you overlook that?
No.
And the reason you wouldn't overlook it is because it was so impactful on you, having heard that. Not once, not twice, 3 times. I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Is that right?
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
Josie Joe's in the house. Good to see you, Josie. I agree.
Yes, I see it.
Is that a transcript of your entire testimony at the grand jury in April of 2022?
I believe so, yes.
You've reviewed it in the past?
I have read it about a year ago, yes.
You read it in anticipation of your testimony a year ago, correct?
Yes, I reviewed it.
Have you reviewed it in preparation for your testimony today?
No, I haven't.
Yesterday. Ms. McCabe, turn to the page or pages in that transcript where you recount to the grand jurors And my client said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
This is over 227 pages.
Take your time.
How long did you say it was, Ms. McCabe?
227?
I'm not going to let her read 227 pages.
You reviewed it before, haven't you?
I reviewed it a year ago, yes.
You read the whole thing cover to cover, didn't you?
I skimmed through it.
One of the most important points in your testimony yesterday and today is recounting these jurors the phrase, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Is that right?
Objection.
To the form of that, I'm sustaining it.
Was it important to you to tell these jurors that you heard my client say, I hit him 3 times?
I answered the questions and I'm telling the jurors what I know.
Was it important to you before testifying today that you recount to these jurors the phrase, I hit him, coming out of my client's mouth?
Your client said she hit him, yes.
That's not my question. Listen to my question, Ms. McCabe.
I'm sorry.
Was it important to you before you testified to tell these jurors under oath that my client said, I hit him 3 times?
As a juror, as a witness, it's important to tell the truth and to answer the question you were asked.
And in point of fact, in your entire grand jury testimony, you never said, my client said the words, I hit him, did you?
Again, it's 227 pages.
Ms. McCabe, you were there. They're your words. I'm not asking you to rehearse something. You were there. Did you tell the grand jurors that my client said I hit him?
I have testified a number of times, but I was there the morning of January 29th when your client said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
Did you tell that to the grand jurors?
I'm not sure.
It's because you didn't, did you?
Again, I'm not sure.
Ms. McCabe, you were asked in your grand jury testimony no fewer than 12 times, 12 separate times, you were asked to repeat words that my client said both before, going to, and at the scene at 34th Fairview that morning. Correct?
Objection.
Do you know the answer to that?
No.
You were asked multiple times what my client's words were that you heard her say going to and at the scene, correct?
I was correct.
And you recounted those words truthfully and honestly at that time, correct?
Correct.
Because you were under the same oath that you're under today.
Correct.
And things were much fresher in your mind then than they are now 3.5 years later. Would you agree with that?
I hit him, I hit him, I hit him is just as fresh today as it was 3 years ago.
Turn to page.
You're a liar. You're a liar. You're a liar. It's just as real as it was the last time you did it. Just saying. She's admitted to lying, folks. It's just a joke. It's sad. It really is. This case has been an absolute disaster from the beginning. And me personally, again, and this is nobody has to agree with this or feel the same way, obviously. I don't think that Karen did this. I don't. There's too many things that I saw within this case, and I always have to refer back to the Sally Port video. Is one of the main things that made me go, "What in the hell is going on?" And I don't think she did it. I don't. There's too many things that make it. You look at it and go, "No, that's not possible." No, and me as a first responder, seeing certain things said, "That's not how that works. That's not the way that goes. That's not what happens when you do this or that." I mean, it's just ridiculous in this case. And how many cases have we seen like this, you guys? Delphi, Idaho, Kylie Rodney, the Petito case, where there's things that are just not the way they're supposed to be. Okay, justice. I don't know. Justice is wearing a what do you call those big dark black gowns that the Grim Reaper wears because it ain't right no more.
Cloak.
That's the only way I can say it. Cloak. Thank you. A black cloak. Yeah, Justice is definitely not where she's been for a long time. She needs to be rebalanced, in my opinion. And it's just sad to see it because, you know, that's all that a lot of us out here want to see is like true justice happen and truth being brought out in these cases. And it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen anymore. It's crazy. There's innocent people being convicted and accused and convicted of things that they had nothing to do with. Then there's people being accused and convicted of crimes that they couldn't possibly have done. And it's just insane anymore. So, yeah, I agree with that one too. That case, I mean, come on. They collected evidence in Dixie cups or solo cups, guys. What? Who does that? Seriously, who collects evidence in a solo cup? You know, it's crazy. And yeah, agreed. Josie's right. Canton is its own monster. Plenty of people locally go through the same thing. Yeah, and I've heard, I don't know, we had a couple people that came in here from that direct area that were afraid to live there, and it's like, why? Because they don't trust in law enforcement to protect them over themselves. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, that's a scary situation. Which again reminds me of Delphi, Moscow, wherever, I can't remember exactly where it was that Kylie Rodney was from in California, but in California, because of the way that law enforcement handled certain things there. I mean, it's like, what? Did you forget the oath you took? Or did it matter to you? Like, what's up with that, you know? Yeah, Idaho agreed. Papa G Appa P's in the house. What's happening, brother? Good to see you today. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you very much.
That's it, Truckee. Thank you, SRB.
Truckee, thank you. God, you guys
I was sitting there going, tur.
Yeah, I knew it as I heard it, but yeah, you guys are awesome. For the memories are amazing. They can't sit there and say they didn't have the proper equipment to do it. They didn't collect it until daylight. Thank you. Great point. Great point. Critical Minds is in the house. Good to see you. He would not be still bleeding if he was out there in the freezing cold for 6 hours. Of course, it clots. The colder the temperature, any wounds will clot faster. That's just a fact, okay? His blood would have coagulated, so he was put out there much later. I have to agree with you, Critical, 100%. And put out there. Those are the key words. Put out there. There's people that argue with me that the marks on his arms are from being hit by a car. No, they're not. Stop it. Just quit. They're dog bites. You can see it. I've seen them before physically. Then we had somebody state that they pulled DNA out of them, or they checked for DNA. There was no canine DNA, and those marks. Stop telling stuff that's not true. I mean, and that's what happens here is people make up their own. They decide on something, make up their own, answer to it, and then put misinformation out, and it's not true. So therefore, it confuses other people as to what's going on in the case, and then they take what they heard from one place to another place, and people are looking at them like they're aliens or they got a third eye. Where'd you get that from? Why are you saying that? It makes no sense because it's not true. And then it just goes downhill from there, and it happens in all these cases, guys. It's insane. So that's why we try to stick to absolute factual information when we talk about things in here, so that people don't get confused, mixed up, and try to figure it out with the wrong information. So Wisdom says no, if she hit him, he would have made noise like 100%. 100%. And that's from the vanquished dog. Yes, the dog's gone. The house was sold. The floor, in my opinion, this is only my opinion, the floor that was the crime scene was redone twice before the house was sold. Why would you do these things if you had nothing to hide?
Mm-hmm.
Come on. Now, I know that just like in first fire department, it's a brotherhood in the police department. I got that. You got each other's backs, so on and so forth. But to what extent? Because you killed another brother. Okay. That's not where that's where that line has to be drawn. And that brotherhood doesn't stand in place at that point. You got to be real. You got to be honest. You got to tell the truth. Your oath is to uphold the truth and justice. Bullshit. That's 100%. 100%. And then nowadays, if you bring out the things that you see, the things that we look at on a regular basis and go, okay, that ain't right. You're called a conspiracy theorist. They're like, climb out of your rabbit hole. Okay, well, climb out of your asshole, because that's not what it's about. Okay. Just saying, guys, we see the truth. We talk about the truth. I'm just tired of hearing it. Sorry for my language, but it's a fact. It's a fact. So once again, you know, I'm tired of people saying, "Oh, you don't know what you talk about. You're crazy." But especially in Idaho, what have we just seen over the past month? Okay, then that's all I'm saying. So, those cops were, there you go. Those cops, there were Canton cops still intimidating people. 100%. That's what I was talking about, Josie. When people come in here talking about we live here and we're afraid to live here, they're afraid to talk about anything. You should never have to have that problem, ever, ever, ever. Sorry. And that's it right there. That is it right there. Bingo, Eddie. Or I mean, Alicia and Eddie. Yes, correct. He didn't see a thing time he went through it. Yeah, so this Karen situation, I don't even have to cover this case and know that it's bullshit. If you're in a rabbit hole, bring yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, small town justice is a joke. It really is. Yeah, I believe me. I live in a small town. I've seen it happen here. So anyway, onward and upward we go. Let me see. There was something else that popped up. On another case we're following. Jurophobia is where, yeah. Yeah, I gotcha. Understood completely, Meg. I would never want to be on a jury nowadays. Never. I just wouldn't.
I'm about to say you ain't going to.
Okay. Once again, as soon as it loads, I will show you. La da dee la da da. Give me 1 second here. Oh yeah, that's another piece of garbage out here. Give me a second. Here it comes. Finally. Oop, wait, where'd it go? Let me see. Where did she put it at? 1 second. Here we go. Also heard Jen McCabe wouldn't testify unless, yeah, I heard that same thing, Papa G. Gotta wonder why, right? We're loading a little bit quicker than it was, but it, once again, thanks for your patience, guys. This keeps doing this. I'm going to have to sing in between segments for you guys.
Oh, yikes.
You don't want that.
No, 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 no.
This is nuts. I'm so sorry. So sorry. Hold on. Maybe I just need to reload. It might work. Let's try that instead. This is nuts. So irritating. And reset that to okay. Okay. Is it finally gonna work for me? So, do you guys familiar with the Smiley Face Killers situation that we looked into? I was looking into the Smiley Face Killers, Ladybird Lake. I kind of linked those two for a minute, thinking that they could have been linked. Sorry. So on and so forth. I want to show you a little something on this that has been brought up recently about them still being out there, the Smiley Face Killers still being out there. And I always got the Smiley Face and the Happy Face Killers confused. And I thought this was quite interesting. Good morning, Mother. Or afternoon, Mom. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Mama Ruth.
So this is interesting because, again, this is another one I was somewhat obsessed with, this case with the Smiley Face situation. And this is, it's wild. It's just wild. So on and so forth. So let's check this out real quick here. Yeah, Netflix is running that documentary on Smiley Face, so on and so forth. So, all right, guys, let's see here real quick.
Kind of guy that you would trust to walk you home. And one night, he would leave a bar alone and he would disappear into the dark. And 6 weeks later, his body would be found in a river. No sign of a struggle, no suspects, just a smiley face painted on a wall nearby. And then it happened again. And again and again, 40 times across 11 states. So are these all just tragic coincidences? A collective hallucination, maybe? Or are we staring straight into the face of America's most ignored serial killer? Crime, conspiracy, cults, serial killers, and murder. All things that I love to consume, and I know you do too, you sick, twisted, intellectual, beautiful, I'm not redoing it. And anyway, today we are talking about an infamous case, very highly recommended in the comments. So here we are today. We're going to be talking about the Smiley Face murders. So without further ado, let's unbuckle our seatbelts, go Mach 5 down the highway, slam on the brakes, and bust through this windshield into this ignored case together. With his friends to a bar on Manhattan's Upper East Side, something he did on a pretty regular basis. And this bar...
The reason why I decided to run this, because I saw this and I went through it, and I was like, there's a couple different cases that this relates to, in my opinion, that could be, you know what I mean? Not cases, but situations, I'm sorry, that could be in relation to this. And I can't seem to let this go. So for those of you that aren't familiar with it, it is quite interesting.
Was called the Dapper Dog, a very popular Fordham hangout. So Patrick would go out with his friends and hang out at the bar, but at some point during the night, he started to feel pretty sick. And witnesses would recall seeing him actually vomiting in the bathroom. So he eventually decided to leave the bar, telling his friends that he would just head back to the campus by subway by himself. So he would say goodbye to all of his friends, but one of his friends actually said that he was going to join.
What's up, Saj? Thanks for dropping by. I appreciate that very much. Hope to see you later this afternoon, possibly. I hope you're having a great day, sir.
Him, so he would go outside and wait for his friend, but he would actually just never show up outside. So he just thought, okay, he probably just wants to stay at the bar, so I'm just gonna go alone. Which, as a woman, it's just something we just wouldn't do, you know. Not something we do is leave alone, but as a man, pretty normal and pretty common. And what happened next has been the subject of speculation for over 2 decades. So eyewitnesses on 2nd Avenue reported seeing Patrick stumbling along the sidewalk, clearly intoxicated, because he was just at a bar. But they also saw something else, and that was a double-parked vehicle. And this vehicle started to slowly trail him, matching his pace, and even turning when he turned. Just creepy as hell. And Patrick would be last seen near East 90th Street, heading toward the direction of the East River. And at this point, by witness accounts, the car was still following him. And after that, Patrick McNeel would never be seen alive again. So obviously, his family would notice.
Creating unnaturally short pauses. Like the cuts, Eddie, when they have the cuts in them, is what you're saying? I know what you're saying, though. I've seen them.
That Patrick went missing, and they would call it into the police. So the NYPD and his family and countless volunteers in New York searched tirelessly for Patrick, and they would distribute over 10,000 posters, turning it into one of the city's most famous missing persons cases. But weeks and weeks would pass, and then 50 days later, on April 7th, 1997, his body would be found floating in the East River near a pier in Brooklyn, which was roughly 12 miles from where he was last seen. And he would be found wearing only jeans and socks, floating face up in the water, which is uncommon for accidental drownings. And the medical examiner listed the cause of death as drowning, the manner of death undetermined. And his blood alcohol content was actually recorded at 0.16, which is twice the legal limit to drive. But he wasn't driving, he was just walking. But there was unusual details that stood out, because despite the cold temperatures, fly larvae were discovered on the body, which is an anomaly since insect activity is typically dormant in winter months. Dr. Cyril Wett would even quote to say,
"I'm saying that the fly larvae have been laid in the groin area. It's an indoor fly. Could not have been an outdoor fly. It was an indoor fly, and the larvae were there, did not move ahead into the later stage. So we have a body that was already dead before it was placed in the water. I would call it homicide. Yes."
And there were also reported signs that Patrick may have been bound and possibly burned before being placed in the water. And retired NYPD detective Kevin Gannon, who worked this case, would later state that he believed Patrick McNeel had been abducted, held for an extended period of time, and then was murdered. And that he wasn't just a simple victim of accidental drowning. But Patrick's case would just close. But Kevin Gannon's investigation had only just begun. And soon he would find other young men with eerily similar profiles who also vanished near water, who were also ruled as just drownings, but were completely unexplained. So Patrick McNeel's case might have been the beginning, but it didn't end with him, because in the years that followed, similar cases began surfacing. And not just in New York, but across the country. Different cities, same victim profile, and the same tragic end. Young men in their early 20s, college students, athletes, and high performers. And in some of those cases where the bodies were found, something else appeared nearby, something seemingly innocuous, and it was a smiley face. And then there was Lucas Homan, and he would be 21 years old when he was last seen at Oktoberfest in La Crosse, Wisconsin in September 2006. And during Oktoberfest, he would actually become separated with his friends at the festivities. And days later, his body would be found near the shore of the Mississippi River. And the autopsy would note injuries to his head, hands, and arms, as well as a footprint-shaped bruise on his forehead. And authorities would initially rule this as an accidental drowning. But near the site where he was found was another smiley face. Which, like, also with the amount of bruises on this person, doesn't it look like he was beat and held captive and then thrown in the river? And the neglect in these cases is astounding. And then there was Todd Gieb, and he would vanish when he was only 22 years old while attending a bonfire party in rural Michigan in June of 2005. And at the bonfire, eventually he would kind of disappear, and then he would call his friend saying, "I'm in a field." But then the call would completely drop, and he would never be heard from again until he was found 3 weeks later with his body found in a private lake. And what's odd is that he was found upright in the water with his head and shoulders above the surface. A very just deeply unnatural position for a drowning victim. And what's also odd is that that lake had been searched previously as well. So it's almost like he was dumped in this lake later on after the first search was done. And a toxicology screen would indicate that alcohol and antidepressants were found in his system. But he was reportedly not suffering from any sort of depression at the time. But something else didn't add up because his body showed minimal decomposition, which was extremely unusual given that it would have been present if he actually died on the day of his disappearance, leading experts to question whether he had been in the water the entire time or whether he had been somewhere else before he had died. And to boot, nearby on a tree was, you guessed it, a painted smiley face. Tommy Booth was 24 when he disappeared from a bar in Woodland, Pennsylvania on January 19th, 2008. And he was celebrating a friend's 21st birthday on that night. And surveillance cameras would show that Tommy would enter the bar, but he would never leave. And 2 weeks later, his body would be discovered in a creek behind the bar. And he would be found with full rigor mortis, which usually dissipates somewhere between 24 to 36 hours after death. And for those of you who don't know what rigor mortis is, it's when the body gets really stiff after death, like almost immovable. And this actually suggested that he hadn't been in the water for the full duration of his disappearance. And spray painted nearby, someone had left an eerie smiley face. And then there was William Hurley, a 24-year-old Navy veteran who disappeared after leaving a Boston Bruins game on October of 2009. Before he left, he would call his fiancée for a ride, but when she arrived shortly after, he was gone. And 6 days later, his body was recovered from the Charles River. And an autopsy found blunt force trauma to his head, eye socket, and his leg. And toxicology revealed something else, which was alcohol and GHB, a drug often used to incapacitate victims. And his death would be ruled an undetermined drowning. And once again, there was a smiley face near the river. And then there was 21-year-old Chris Jenkins. He was a student at the University of Minnesota, and on Halloween night, 2002, he left a bar in downtown Minneapolis and was never seen again. And 4 months later, his body would be recovered from the Mississippi River, and he was still fully dressed in his home.
Welcome, Miss Heather.
So authorities initially ruled this as an accidental drowning. But in 2006, after years of pressure from his family, the Minneapolis Police Department reclassified his death as a homicide. It's just so sad that like the family had to pressure the police into considering this case as a homicide. Like, do your fucking job.
And see, that's my issue with this is that they don't want to look at these cases like Lady Bird, like this one, like what's going on in New England. They refuse to want to look at it in that sense because they don't have enough to say that at this point. Well, I'm sorry, but when you start seeing like murders or people show up murdered with the same MO, you got to say something. You got to look at it in that sense. And granted, they don't want to bring the chaos to the situation, so on and so forth. Well, you know what? Then get a hook on it and figure something out with it. That's all. But don't go on. Don't deny it. People out here are seeing things. We're not stupid. We do this for a living, per se, some of us, and you're going to notice these things. It's crazy to me. I don't know.
Detective Kevin Gannon, the detective who was on Patrick McNeel's case, who was the first case, this wasn't just a win for the family. It was sort of validation, proof that one of the earlier cases had been mishandled and that it could fit the pattern he had begun tracking. Because one case is a tragedy and two is maybe a coincidence. But when young men across the country begin vanishing under almost identical circumstances, after nights out drinking, always found in water, often with
And see, that's what happened here with me is I got overwhelmed because, as we all know, I'm obsessed with the Lady Bird Lake situation, and I was obsessed with the happy face situation. Okay, smiley face. Sorry, I always do that. And I put the two together, which because the MO is almost identical in certain circumstances, except for one. With one difference, with some sets or situations, you find a smiley face there, and the others you didn't. And they both have a lot of the same exact things. It's crazy. Is it the same situation? Smiley face, they're finding them all over the United States. Lady Bird was in Texas. But still, it's right in front of your face. To deny it just blows my mind. So that's what happened with those two with me.
Smiley faced graffiti nearby. At what point do you stop calling it chance? And that is the exact question retired detectives Kevin Gannon and Anthony Duarte, who actually joined the Gannon investigation, were asking. Because they
Exactly
weren't
how
seeing
they-
isolated drownings. They were seeing a pattern emerge. A mark, a symbol, a face. And sometimes it was large and cartoonish, and other times it was kind of hastily scrawled, but it was seemingly always nearby and always just out of place enough to feel wrong. But to most investigators, these were just coincidences, because graffiti is, in fact, pretty much everywhere, and smiley faces are extremely.
And that was a statement that one of the officers made. Well, how can you expect? This is where they're not his exact words, but close. How can you expect us to take this seriously when graffiti is everywhere? Excuse me? What? You find these people dead, and within yards, feet, you find the same type of graffiti on multiple scenes. Well, why wouldn't you? I mean, I don't know, Mama Bear. Is that a dumb question?
Say it again.
Okay, one of the officers on one of the investigating detectives said, "Why would you think that we would take into account that take that seriously? Because graffiti is everywhere." But like I said, you have the same type situation happen 5 times, and within each of those 5 times, within 300 yards, you find the same exact graffiti piece. You wouldn't take that into account?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. It's an excuse to me.
Yeah.
It seems like an excuse. That's all
I
I'm
agree.
saying. Ridiculous.
Common. But to Gannon and Duarte, they were signatures, though they weren't left at every single crime scene, so they were not predictable, but seemingly intentional, enough to at least suggest taunting or a pattern or a ritual. So by the mid-2000s, what started as a lingering suspicion had grown into something far more disturbing. And retired NYPD detectives Kevin Gannon and Anthony Duarte weren't just reviewing cold cases at this point. They were tracking the pattern, as I said before. And this pattern spanned dozens of cities, and it was a pattern that no one else seemed to be seeing for some reason. So by this point, the team had compiled a list of over 40 young men, and all of them were found in bodies of water and ruled as drownings, and all just deemed accidents. But to Gannon and Duarte, the similarities were just impossible to ignore. But to police department.
And there it is. Okay, so the reason why I put this together, or the theory that I came up with, is that between Lady Bird Lake and this, as far as being linked possibly, is that maybe because the rest of these were all over the place, right? Maybe the person or persons responsible lived in Texas. Okay, so they were doing, and they could have been a traveler and trucker, or just somebody that travels regularly. Just these are just examples of things that I thought of, and that the person's home base was in Texas near the lake there possibly, and when they were out on the road, boom, 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 boom. You see what I'm saying? And the only difference is they weren't finding the graffiti at Lady Bird. But still, it was just, that's how my mind works sometimes. I'm probably wrong. But am I? I don't know. But it's just strange to me. It's very strange to me. So that was where I came to peace with this, I guess, thinking that this could be. You know what I mean? And again, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I had to put that out there because that was to understand my thoughts on this. That's all.
They were just unrelated tragedies. So Gannon and Duarte started to put all of these pieces together, and a map started to take shape. And the shape was not random. And to make sense of it, the team needed more than investigative instinct. They needed someone who could look at the data and explain from the outside. And that's when Professor Dr. Lee Gilbertson came into the picture. He was a criminal justice professor and expert in organized criminal behavior from St. Cloud University in Minnesota. And Gilbertson hadn't necessarily set out to solve the case. In fact, his introduction actually came through the classroom, because he would actually assign the deaths of several young men as a a case study for a graduate course in criminal profiling. So at first, it was just academic curiosity because the cases themselves were bizarre, but they were also very distant until, of course, the similarities began to pile up. So then came the phone call, and detectives Gannon and Duarte actually saw the project online and called them to collaborate. And when Gilbertson first initially examined the case files, he didn't just rush to judgment, which I think is good. He approached this theory with great caution, constantly looking for holes and inconsistencies. So he wasn't necessarily trying to prove their point. He was just trying to understand it at this point. But he would say patterns were there. There was the same profile, same behaviors, and same aftermath. And the most telling, actually, was the same terrain, because Gilbertson saw what the others different, and that was that the geography actually might be the key, because the victims weren't being found in obscure locations. They were actually being found inside of patterns, along specific river paths, in proximity to college towns, and within certain travel corridors. So he argued that the locations actually weren't accidental, they were deliberately chosen. So Gilbertson...
It is the same person, Heather. It's the same one, just so you know. It's the same one.
would pose a theory of his own, one even darker than the idea of a lone serial killer, because he claimed that this didn't look like it was the work of one person, but instead looked like the work of a network. So according to Gilbertson, these cases didn't resemble a serial killer's hunting ground.
It is. It's beautiful right now.
More akin to a gang or cell-based activity. Essentially, multiple individuals, which is just even more terrifying and horrible. And he would suggest that they were operating independently, but they were also connected in some way. And they would...
And that, again, is the same hypothesis that has come to form together in some senses in the Lady Bird Lake situation. Per se, they would act independently, but could work together as a group, per se. Maybe know each other, come up with these situations as a group, and they enact it sometimes on their own. See what I'm saying? That's, yeah. And that's another reason why this, you know, the smiley face thing really does make me feel like the Lady Bird Lake situation could be linked to this without, the only thing that's different is the graffiti. So I don't know if it was because, again, maybe Lady Bird Lake, the area there in Texas, is home base for these people, the person, a person. I don't know. I still feel like there's a possible link here. I could be, like I said, and I'll say it again and again, absolutely wrong, but it's hard to look at it without saying that. That's all I'm saying.
Select targets based off of certain criteria, leaving behind obscure, possibly symbolic marks, the smiley face. But they hadn't quite found something to link it all together at this point. And Gannon and Gilbertson began applying geographical profiling to new cases. So they would locate high-risk areas, tracing victim movements, analyzing proximity to waterways, bars, and surveillance blind spots. So what they were building wasn't just a theory, but it was a map. And in the very center of the map, a crude, mocking symbol, one that kept appearing near the water, and one that would give this theory its name, you guessed it, smiley face. But as I was saying before, the symbol wasn't consistent in design. There was no single style, no brand-like stamp that screamed serial killer. Like a lot of serial killers we go through, they have a very specific MO, and they do certain rituals, like leaving taking specific items. And in this case, it's a smiley face, but since it's not consistent, it really doesn't seem like it's one person. But this kind of just added to the unease, because smiley faces were showing up within walking distance of recovery sites, often within 20 feet. But again...
And one thing I do have to verify or clarify, guys, is that we all know how easy it is for a copycat to come to surface, okay? Obviously, if somebody sees this happening more than once, or just even once, and can say, hey, I could do that, and just we'll blame it on this situation and do their own version of the smiley face thing. That's a possibility too. I'm not saying that that's something I'm looking at, but I'm just saying it is a huge possibility because it happens a lot with copycat situations. Is there a picture compilation to view all of the photographs of the victims' faces on the same screen? There could be, Eddie. I'll have to look for that, bud. But there could be. I seem to remember that there was one at some point. Unless that was for Lady Bird. I'll look into it, bud. I'll look into it. Good
It
question.
wasn't at every single scene, but in just enough of them to start to raise questions. So in the cases like Tommy, Todd, William, and Lucas, the smiley face was there. And sometimes they weren't alone, because Gannon's team claimed that they actually found additional undisclosed markings at some of the sites. Some were runes, arrows, and abstract figures. But they chose to not release those symbols publicly because they didn't want to inspire copycats or alert who was ever behind it, because the team believed that these symbols were kind of a mocking calling card. And in interviews and briefings, Gannon started to refer to the perpetrators, or whoever they were,
Good
as
point
a
in
part
the
of
line.
a syndicate, which is a loose network of individuals or cells possibly communicating across cities. And he suspected that the group selected victims with great care, targeting young men based on profile, vulnerability, and opportunity. And each act carried out in a different place. Each crime was dressed as an accident, and each message was tagged with a smile.
And there's different theories in both these cases. Okay, that one, that homosexual men were targeted at some point. Another theory on certain aspect that it was a group of women that were attacking men to financially, strap them that way, so on and so forth. That it was a group of what do you call it? Angry women that hate men. Things like, I mean, there's been multiple theories on both sides, and they're all interesting per se. Okay, so again, I still can't put that heavy line down between the two and separate them completely just because of the graffiti side of it. So very interesting stuff to me.
So at this point, the press just needed a name, of course, and soon they would.
The happy face situation, the happy face killer way back 70s and 80s, I think it was. That was the trucker cap, which again, it still could be. We don't know. We don't know enough about this to be able to say that it's not. Is it a copycat situation? In a sense, yeah. Is it related? I don't think so. It could be a copycat. Obviously, it kind of is if you look at it that way. But is it the same person? This person's in prison, that they're dead, I do believe now, that committed the happy face crimes. I'm not 100%. So, but it still could be a traveler, like I said before. It's like a vacuum salesman, you know what I mean, or a trucker, people, something like that. It could be the same situation as what that was back then, but or these other theories of these groups. There was a whole story I read, I think, one time in one of our shows about a group of women that get together. They meet up from all over the country and they do this, and it's like, I can't imagine that happening without somebody at some point have already caught on to them. You know what I mean? That's my point, but I don't know. You never know.
Would have one, the smiley face killers. So what started as just a theory was now a
Yeah,
brand,
right,
and
yeah.
one that would spread across the internet. To message boards, true crime communities, and headline after headline, it would just keep coming up. The smiley faced killers. Behind that eerie nickname was still a chilling question. If this was real, and if someone was really killing young men across the country and leaving behind this cryptic grin, how had no one stopped them at this point? Or properly investigated them, besides Gannon and Duarte, who were just doing this as like something on their off time, basically. So by the time Gannon's team began to speak publicly about the smiley face killer theory, it had already ignited quite the controversy. And not because of what was known, but because of what was missing. Because the idea of a hidden network stalking and abducting young men across multiple states was pretty fucking bold, because it challenged the very framework most law enforcement agencies used to understand violent crimes. And that made people very uneasy. Naturally. And in precincts and college campuses and media circles, a quiet wave of skepticism began to ripple beneath the surface. Because critics weren't just questioning the conclusion, they were questioning the very foundation of the theory itself. And one of the first criticisms was, the symbol, the smiley face. Because yes, smiley face graffiti had been found near some of the recovery sites, but it was also kind of everywhere else. I can't, like, every time I've seen graffiti, there is a smiley face somewhere in there. And they're on bridges and underpasses, skate parks, and alleyways, where graffiti is very prominent to begin with. And urban graffiti wasn't a rare thing. And the smiley face, like I said before, was arguably the most universal symbol on Earth. So to many, connecting it to the murders felt like seeing faces in clouds. If you looked hard enough, you're gonna see a face. Might be a really scary face or something. I've seen some weird shit in clouds, I'll tell you what. But you'll see it if you're looking for it. And there was the lack of hard evidence. There was no murder weapons, no fingerprints, no DNA, no witnesses, and no direct links between the victims themselves. And each case, when viewed in isolation, could be explained away. It was a college-age man, a night of drinking, a body in a river. Tragic, yes, but to most authorities, not suspicious. And the profiles, though, were consistent, but so were their environments. College towns, winter weather, nightlife culture, waterfronts, intoxication, and to skeptics, that wasn't conspiracy, that was just a risk. And even some within law enforcement began to question whether Gannon's team was chasing shadows at this point, because they saw the theory built on circumstantial links, bound together by grief and frustration and a deeply human desire to make sense of senseless death. Because to them, it wasn't murder. It wasn't ritual. It wasn't misinterpretation. It was just accidents. So even as the theory began to catch the public's eye, behind the scenes, it was already being quietly dismissed. But Gannon and his team were not backing down. Because for every case, critics explained away, but that's when another one surfaced. So Kevin Gannon and Anthony Duarte had spent years compiling case files, mapping location, and connecting the dots no one else seemed to see, because they really believed they had uncovered one of the most overlooked serial crime patterns in American history. But at this point, it wasn't enough to believe it, and they needed others to see it too. So they went national, baby. The detectives would appear on ABC's Good Morning America, laying out their investigation to a national live audience. Then their theory was featured on CNN, where Gannon reiterated the most chilling possibility of all.
That's an interesting theory, Beckles. There's been other theories like that put out there too. And that's not far off of a possible situation or a possible theory at all. I'm sorry. That is not a far off theory, possible theory. Sorry, I can't talk today. Sorry about that. Anyway, so yeah, it's very, very possible in my opinion. A lot of people have thought that it was a police officer or some form of law enforcement because of the fact that they haven't been able to catch any of them. You know what I mean? And they seem to be able to be 1 to 2 steps ahead of law enforcement, which would make some sense. The Sunshine Killer was the same type way, and he was a law enforcement officer, and he got away with it for 50 years. So there's that. Just thoughts, that make a lot of sense in my opinion.
We believe they're being murdered. And then Duarte added, water destroys evidence. It's the perfect crime. But they didn't name any suspects at this point. And they didn't point fingers, but they posed a terrifying question to millions of viewers. What if these aren't accidents? And what if someone or some group is hunting young men across the country? And the media would take immediate notice, and they would latch on to the smiley face killers because it was eerie, it was marketable, it was viral. And that's when public opinion started to light up again. So true crime fans, amateur sleuths, grieving families began to all re-examine the old cases with fresh eyes. Was there a pattern that no one noticed? Was there a link between their loss and someone else's? And for many, Gannon and Duarte had pulled back the curtain on a dark truth. But for others, they'd stepped into the spotlight with a story too far-fetched to believe. So there are basically 2 parties. Either you believed it or you didn't. And as their theory started to make headlines, they also began to adopt some enemies. And the detectives, being in this field for so long, had expected some critics. But what they didn't expect was how loud and how fast it would grow. Because the more that Gannon and Duarte spoke, the more resistance they triggered from within the very world that they came from, which was law enforcement, forensic experts, and eventually the big guy on campus, the FBI. And the FBI would push back and put out a statement. And it would say,
over the past several years, law enforcement and FBI have received information about young college-age men who were found deceased in rivers in the Midwest. The FBI has reviewed the information about the
That was
victims
my thought
provided by
too,
two
Cap.
retired police detectives who have dubbed these incidents the Smiley Face murders and interviewed an individual
Welcome,
who provided
Tomboy.
information
Good
to
morning,
the
I should
detectives.
say.
To date, we have not developed any evidence to support the links between these tragic deaths or any evidence substantiating the theory that these deaths are the work of a serial killer or killers. The vast majority of these instances appear to be alcohol-related drownings. The FBI will continue to work with the local police in the affected areas to provide support as requested. And this was said Supervisory Special Agent Richard J. Kolko, Washington, D.C.
so that was on April 29th, 2008, and it was very rare for the FBI to put out public statements, but they would dismantle this case in just a few sentences. So it was swift, and it cut directly through the heart of the Smiley Face killer theory. So the Bureau's position was pretty clear. There was no suspects, no motive, and no forensic evidence linking the cases. So to federal investigators, it wasn't a case. It was basically just a story. And from their perspective, it just didn't hold up. But Gannon, my guy, was not convinced. Guy was persistent as hell. I will give him that. And he would actually fire back at the FBI publicly, accusing the FBI of ignoring key inconsistencies in the cases, which included toxicology reports, signs of staging, unusual injuries, and bodies recovered in places that had already been.
This is where the theory of a law enforcement official being involved, even possibly the FBI, somebody working for the FBI being the person doing this or persons, that's where that theory came into play at. Because one, they're stepping out stating that no, it's not what it is. Two, because of the way things were done, it seemed way too calculated per se in some senses to be not a professional, I guess. Somebody that knows the ins and outs of a situation like that. You know what I mean? So there is that as well. I'm sorry, Tomboy. I hope you feel better, hon.
Searched, which we already knew, and it was already pretty suspicious. And Gannon believed that if the FBI actually sat down with them and actually looked at the evidence that they collected, they wouldn't have actually made that statement. Because to him, the Bureau hadn't disproven the theory at all. They basically just dismissed it without digging any deeper. But some of the loudest voices in opposition were the experts. It wasn't conspiracy theorists, it wasn't internet sleuths, but very seasoned criminal profilers, detectives, and forensic psychologists, many of whom have worked on serial cases. And Dr. Chris Mohandi, a respected forensic psychologist who personally investigated the 2002 death of Christopher Jenkins, saw no evidence of foul play. He would point to inconsistencies in the graffiti as a key problem because the smiley faces varied widely in shape, size, and style. Some were cartoonish, others minimal, and some had been there for years. So to Chris, this wasn't a calling card, it was just urban noise. But raising my hand here, the smiley face might have nothing to do with it, and that's like I think the smiley face part is actually a very small part of it. It's how similar these deaths are. That's just me, though. But anyway, then we have Nanette Toosby, a former LAPD detective, who echoed those same concerns. And she would note that in many of the cases, the locations where the bodies were found and the locations of any graffiti were not close to each other. And she also argued that a serial killer spanning more than 27 years and state lines without any sort of trail seemed unlikely, which they didn't claim. They claimed that it wasn't one person. So, okay, Nanette, I'm being an asshole. Anyway, but then came Pat Brown, a veteran criminal profiler, and her take was even more blunt. She basically just called it ludicrous. Like, actually, she used the word ludicrous. Luda and the smiley faces were just a red herring. And she said, if you look in any area 5 miles square, I bet you could find a smiley face, which I agree. I do agree with that. Like, they're all really fixating on the smiley face thing, but I really don't think that's the point. I think there's just more than that. A lot of these deaths look like foul play. I think we should look into that. Stop looking at the smiley face. But the Center for Homicide Research, a Minneapolis-based organization focused on data-driven crime studies, went one step further. And they published a full-length report aiming to scientifically refute the smiley face killing theory. And the argument included this: no proof that smiley faces were painted at or immediately after the time of killing. Graffiti is everywhere. Thanks, Center for Homicide Research. No discernible criteria has been stated for how close the smiley faces must be in proximity to the death site. No evidence of victim trauma. What? The way that intoxicated men accidentally fall into bodies of water is well known and documented. That is fair. They concluded the theory most likely was a result of observational bias. You basically see what you want to see. There is fact in that. I do think that personally. And they thought it was also a result of group think. Basically, people influenced by an authority figure, aka a prominent lead homicide detective from New York, which has the largest city of population. And these posed a risk of distracting attention from the actual causes of death. But even local law enforcement had their doubts. Because in La Crosse, Wisconsin, a city where 8 separate cases were connected to the theory, police issued a very clear response. The deaths were accidental drownings. There was no evidence of homicide, and there was no relevant smiley face graffiti found near the site. So to them, it was a problem of alcohol, geography, and tragedy, not of conspiracy. So the message from experts was very clear. The theory supposedly wasn't supported by any evidence and was built basically just on shaky foundation. And they were trying to connect dots that didn't necessarily connect at all. But for Gannon's team, persistent guy, it wasn't about what the experts believed. It was about what was happening. And they were determined to uncover more evidence. Because long after criticism came and went, the bodies were still showing up. So Dakota was 23 years old. He was a graduate student of Duquesne University with a promising future. He was very bright and very responsible, and not the kind of person who just vanishes without a trace and who vanishes with no reason. But on January 25th, 2017, Dakota went out with friends in downtown Pittsburgh. And it was just a casual night out, just drinks after a very normal day. Nothing unusual for him. But surveillance footage later showed him walking alone through Katz Plaza, and then down a nearby alley toward Fort Duquesne Boulevard. And that would be the last time he was seen alive. And for 40 days, Dakota was just missing. And the family would just beg the public for information, and the searches would intensify. And then he would finally be found. So on March 6th, his body was surfaced in the Ohio River near Interstate 79 bridge over Neville Island, just miles away from where he was last seen. And the Allegheny County medical examiner ruled it an accidental drowning. There was no trauma, no foul play suspected, and the case was just closed. But Dakota's family did not accept that, especially his mother, Pamela James, because she believed that there was no way he ended up in the river on his own. And that's when Dr. Sewell Wecht, a renowned forensic psychologist, would enter. And he would go on to review Dakota's case, and he would find it deeply, deeply troubling. And he would make these notes: minimal decomposition consistent with traveling over 10 miles and 40 days in a river, supposedly through a dam as well. Ligature marks around the neck suggesting possible strangulation, not mentioned in the autopsy at all, and the
Yeah, and they're accidents with ligature marks, guys. I mean, that's interesting, isn't it? You know, they accidentally got ligature marks on their necks and stuff. So yeah.
distinct difference in coloration of the fingernail beds of the 4th and 5th fingers on both the right and left hands, which certainly would be consistent with someone reaching up and trying to release the pressure from a ligature that is being applied around the neck. So to Wecht, this wasn't just drowning. It looked more like a staged crime scene, but the police just stood by their rule.
Now there again, that's happened more than once. So when it looks like it's staged, this is why they're thinking that there could have been law enforcement involvement, because it, you know, when it comes off to be what is looking to be a staged situation, that's why that makes sense to me per se. So just saying.
Ruling. There was no suspects, no evidence of abduction, and no witnesses. Which of course just means he wasn't murdered. Just because you haven't found anything yet, they're like, it was an accident. We can't find anything. You look? Let me look. Let me look really quick. One sec. No, Case closed. It was an accident. Let's go get lunch. Like, the amount of neglect in these cases it is just so sad, so disheartening, especially for these families just wanting answers as to why their child,
Right, Heather.
their brother, their uncle, whoever went missing and just turned up dead. They're just being pushed aside. It's disgusting. And obviously, to Dakota's family, this was not a tragic accident. They believed it was something else, something much darker. And for those who had been following the smiley face killer theory for years, the details felt hauntingly familiar. So Gannon, once again, would assemble his team. It's like the Avengers. I love it. Including
Riley has always fit into that boat with me. Always. There are very slight differences, area, stuff like that, but it still falls into that boat with me. It's crazy. There's also another one that fits this too. But they've never found him. There's the difference with that one. But still, it's one of them things. Critical said labeled a drowning, so water in the lungs. I don't hear where she is questioning that. If he was strangled, there would be no water in the lungs. There shouldn't be. Right. Agreed. And that definitely should be something questioned. I agree.
former members Anthony Duarte and Dr. Lee Gilbertson, but this time they added a fellow retired NYPD detective, Michael Donovan. So with fresh eyes and newer tools, the team brought something to the table that most local departments lacked, which was advanced forensic methods, digital reconstruction, and geographic profiling. Because to them, this wasn't about just chasing hunches, it was about following the data and letting digital trail speak for itself. And in several cases, they conducted detailed reviews of cell phone records, GPS logs, and account activity. And these discoveries would form a foundation for a brand new light to be shone on the smiley face killer theory. But more on that in a moment. So in the early days, the symbol was simple: a smiley face, crude, cartoonish, and sprayed onto bridges, tunnels, walls, and riverbanks. And to some, it was just graffiti, but to others, it was a signature. But as the cases mounted, the investigators began to notice something unsettling, and that was the symbol was evolving, because the smiley face kind of shifted from concrete to code. And they began to theorize that the symbol was no longer limited to paint cans and underpasses. It had become something more abstract, a digital marker passed through usernames, avatars, and encrypted online communities. And it was a way of signaling identity or allegiance. And then they would find something that changed everything. Because during the course of re-investigation, the team was handed a URL. And the URL had led them not to the surface web, but to something far more concealed: a dark web portal. Yep. We're getting real dark. And the site was not public, so this couldn't be accessed by accident. And before granting entry, it demanded something unexpected, which was webcam verification. And to proceed, they would need to show their faces, which again is just terrifying. And this was a step that no investigator could afford to take, so they would back off. But what lay beyond that login screen has haunted them ever since. And from that moment on, the Gilbertson networks theory felt much stronger. But this dark web portal helped paint a picture. It was decentralized, anonymous, operating in cells across various cities. And each cell, they believed, composed of dozens of individuals capable of recruiting, surveilling, and communicating without leaving a trail at all. And if true, it would explain the uniformity of the victims and the precision of the disappearances and the near total absence of forensic evidence. So the recruitment, they theorized, occurred through encrypted communication. So these weren't just thrill kills, they were coordinated acts, according to Gannon and his team. And the smiley face, it wasn't just to taunt anymore, it was a banner. And to critics, this all just sounded like folklore, digital age myth-making wrapped in fear. But to Gannon's team, it made sense of what nothing else could explain. How could the same kind of victim disappear under the same circumstances in city after city, year after year, without a single suspect ever being caught, even though foul play was present in some of the murders? So if the killings were coordinated behind the screen, then maybe the face on the wall wasn't just a signature. Maybe it was just watching you back. So though the cases were live and well with Gannon and his team, and of course the victims' families, the smiley face killer theory had lost a bit of steam over the years, and critics said that it had been debunked and the media just moved on like they always do. So the cases just remained cold. But in 2019, the theory returned, and this time it was through a television screen. Because remember that brand new light that I mentioned? This was it. Because the Oxygen Network launched a 6-part true crime docuseries called Smiley Face Killers: The Hunt for Justice. And it followed Kevin Gannon and Anthony Duarte and their investigation team as they reopened some of the most controversial cases connected to the theory. And this series wasn't just a recap, it was an extension of the investigation updated for the digital age. And each episode dove into different cases, revisiting timelines, interviewing families, and challenging the official rulings, and in some cases, revealing new details the public had never heard. And in the case of William Hurley, the Navy veteran who vanished after the Boston Bruins game, they would examine his damaged cell phone that was recovered near where he was last seen, because they suspected that the phone had actually been intentionally destroyed, just based on the way that the phone was damaged. And this was potentially to disrupt digital evidence collection. And then came the case of Dakota James, because in addition to forensic red flags raised by Dr. Cyril Wecht, including the minimal decomposition and possible ligature marks, the investigation team uncovered something very odd in Dakota's digital footprint. And it was a PayPal transaction made 2 days after his disappearance. So to Gannon and his team, it suggested a chilling possibility that someone maybe had access to Dakota's accounts after he had vanished. And if this was true, he may have not been alone during that time. And in the case of Todd Gieb, who disappeared after the bonfire party in rural Michigan in 2005 and was found 3 weeks later upright in the lake, the team actually went a step further, and they would conduct a forensic decomposition study. Working with forensic biologist Dr. M. Eric Benbow, they would use a pig carcass to replicate the environment conditions of the lake where Gieb was found. And the results? Bodies left in the water for 3 weeks showed immediate insect infestation and extensive decomposition, which was far more than what was seen in Gieb's case. And to the investigators, this was very significant. It not only suggested Todd had not been in the lake for the full duration of his disappearance, but that someone may have held him elsewhere, and then the body was placed in the water after the fact. So these weren't just one-offs, they were signposts, evidence that supported what they had believed for years. And these young men weren't just falling into rivers, they were being put there. So for some, the Oxygen series breathed new life into the old myth, but for others, it served as a reminder for something far more disturbing, that after 2 decades, no one could fully explain why so many men were disappearing, only to be found in water miles from where they were last seen. But this time, the audience watching wasn't just investigators. It was millions and millions of viewers and the next wave of believers. So in the modern era, the rules for investigation have changed, and the technology that once didn't exist now might just crack the silence. And today, investigators aren't limited to witness statements and physical evidence. They have data and machines that know where we've been and what we've seen and who we were near, because geofencing now allows authorities to pinpoint every phone in a certain radius at any given time, which is kind of scary, but also helpful in this case. And Wi-Fi logs can place victim or a suspect inside a building without a single camera. And phone ping triangulation can quite literally rebuild the final minutes of life with chilling accuracy. So these tools aren't just theoretical. They've already been used in major criminal cases to secure convictions. And if applied to the drownings linked to the smiley face killing theory, they could finally reveal what happened between the time a victim vanished and where their body was found. So the next breakthrough, if it comes, may not be found at the bottom of a river, but buried in data. And for the families left behind, the answers from law enforcement were never enough. And for some, the search for truth never stopped. Like Pam James, the mother of Dakota James, has become one of the most outspoken advocates for reopening the cases, because she never accepted that her son died of accidental drowning. And even with the aforementioned evidence discovered by Gannon and Dr. Wecht, including the potential ligature marks on his neck and minimal decomposition, and despite being missing for 40 days, the Allegheny County Medical Examiner's Office refused to change the ruling. But still, Pam continues to speak out, demanding that her son's case be reopened. And she is not alone. The Homan family, the Hurley family, and more. They lost their sons under nearly identical circumstances, and they continue to call for the cases to be formally re-examined. Because for these families, the pain of losing a child had not been compounded by the feeling that no one but them wanted to look deeper. But with Gannon and his team, they looked. And what they found wasn't closure. It was contradiction, and the kind of contradictions that don't lead to peace, but just to more questions. So by now, dozens of cases have been reviewed. Autopsy reports, GPS data, surveillance footage, and digital footprints analyzed again and again. And some theories unraveled, some theories refuted, and some leads just went cold. But even after that, some patterns refused to go away. And victim after victim followed the same haunting sequence. College-age man, intelligent, athletic, and well-liked, disappearance late at night, often after leaving a bar or party. And they were found days or weeks later in a body of water with no sign of robbery, no sign of SA, and no motive. And in many cases, the victim's phone was missing or later found damaged. And then there were the geographical coincidences as well. Many of the victims were found in or near major river systems, always in proximity to nightlife, but far enough away that their last known locations raised questions. And some bodies were recovered upstream and others in areas that had already been searched. And a few showed rigor mortis or minimal decomposition inconsistent with the official timelines. So these weren't drug dealings gone wrong. They weren't robberies. They weren't hate crimes. Nothing was taken. Nothing was left behind. And often there was no obvious reason the victim had left where they were in the first place. So why
Thank
does
you,
this
SRB.
keep happening? But here is what the believers say. The victims fit a profile, too specific to be random. They always turn up in the same way, in water, days or weeks later, sometimes miles from where they were last seen. The condition in which the bodies are found are questionable. They're found in better condition than they should be. They have strangulation marks or burning marks, and they defy typical drowning behavior. And while the official causes of death are usually listed as accidental, many private pathologists like Dr. Cyril Wecht have raised concerns about potential signs of strangulation, post-mortem water entry, and other red flags overlooked in the initial autopsies. And believers point to the smiley face graffiti as a kind of ritualistic signature, although not always identical, but often close enough to raise eyebrows. And if you step back far enough, you'll also notice something chilling. These deaths aren't localized. They cover multiple states, following major water routes and appearing in clusters near college towns. And to believers, this isn't sloppy work by a serial killer. It's a network, one that's possibly been active for over 2 decades and perhaps operating in independent cells, as Gannon and Gilbertson had theorized, capable of using digital footprints,
Bingo.
rivers, and communicating without ever being caught. And each drowning isn't just a mistake, it's a message. And the smiley face was just a symbol that says, we were here. And then we move on to the skeptic's view. So while believers say that the theory connects dots between unexplained deaths, the skeptics say the smiley face killer theory isn't a chilling discovery at all. It's just a dangerous distraction that just started with a symbol. The smiley face, the theory namesake, is one of the most common pieces of graffiti in the world. You'll find it under bridges and sidewalks and inside bathroom stalls, and the presence of a smiley face near a crime scene is statistically meaningless. There was also no consistent style, no matching handwriting, and often no photographic proof that it was even there in the first place. And then there's the victim profile. Yes, most of the men were young, white, and athletic,
point,
but so
Meg.
are millions of college-age men
you,
across the
Lisa.
country. So skeptics argue this as a survivorship bias, which is basically the human tendency to notice patterns that match our expectations while ignoring the ones that don't. And when you start with the conclusion that these men were murdered, it's easy to retrofit the evidence to support it. And the geography, critics note that nearly all the cases occurred in college towns and cities within rivers and nightlife, places where alcohol consumption is high and environmental hazards are very real. And the combination of drinking, cold weather, poor lighting, and water is already statistically very dangerous.
And when that all went down, I started looking local too, like in Cleveland area around where the flats used to be. But being that the flats are no longer what the flats were, granted, there has been 1 or 2 here or there, but the flats aren't active like they were back, 20 years ago. So in turn, maybe that has saved it from happening in Cleveland. I don't know, just a thought. But I imagined it really would have, because it was a perfect scenario right there, so who knows if there's someplace else, because I looked in, I contacted Metro Police and the chief again, even though he's an idiot. And according to them, they haven't had a lot of them related. But then again, just like the rest of law enforcement, who knows? You know what I mean? They may not look at it that way again. Just saying.
And to them, the pattern isn't conspiracy, it's just a tragic probability. And the list goes on, stuff I've already gone over, but they argue that clinging to conspiracy theories can distract from the real dangers like substance abuse, mental health struggles, and unsafe environments. And by replacing those hard conversations with a villain we can't see. Because sometimes the scariest answer isn't that someone is responsible, it's that no one is. So whether you believe the smiley face killer or not, one thing is undeniable, and that is that the story leaves a mark, not just on the families and not just on the investigators, but on all of us. Because what we're dealing with isn't just death. It's disappearance, uncertainty, and a narrative where the ending is never quite satisfying, and the facts just never align fully. And for the families and the victims, the psychological toll is compounded by more than just grief. They're mourning sons, brothers, partners, and friends. And while fighting institutions, confronting doubt, and navigating public speculation, many were told to just move on, to accept the ruling, to let it go. But how do you let go when the final chapter doesn't make any f***ing sense? How do you grieve when every detail feels just a bit off and enough to haunt you? And for law enforcement, the toll comes in a form of pressure. They fear of missing something bigger, or chasing the wrong theory, or of being accused of apathy. And for some officers,
I haven't heard of that, Wade. That's interesting.
wounds, and for others, just statistics in a filing cabinet. And for the public, it's a lingering chill that comes with every new headline.
I have heard that, Meg.
Every
An interesting
man who
statistic.
disappears without any sort of explanation. And then there's the internet, a place where tragedy becomes theory and theory becomes obsession. And in the digital age, true crime isn't just a genre, it's a community, a conversation, and sometimes a battleground. On one side, people are desperate for justice, and on the other, skeptics demand proof. And in the middle, there's real lives and real families and real consequences. And conspiracy theories, by nature, fill the void left by uncertainty. So when the truth feels incomplete, our minds kind of just do the rest. Sometimes we find clarity, and other times we find comfort in patterns that aren't really there, potentially. But for those who have actually lost somebody, the ambiguity is the real punishment. Because when a death is ruled accidental, but everything about it feels deliberate, you don't just mourn the person you lost, you mourn the answers you'll never get. But for me, there's just a certain silence in these cases, a stillness that just doesn't feel right. And for every official report that says accidental drowning, there's a grieving family and a set of missing phone records or a toxicology screen that raises more question than it does answers. So I hope that technology can finally break this silence, because the families deserve that. But I personally do share that just gut feeling by those investigators and parents and every friend that says that wasn't like him. Because if it's all a coincidence, why does it feel so intentional? But I will leave that question to you. I'm very interested to see what you guys think about this case. I know it was a long one, but it's extremely interesting. And I know a lot of you recommended this. Thank you for recommending it. I'm happy to bring.
And that's it on her end, guys. And it's very interesting. Like I said, I know that was somewhat long, but I wanted to bring that back to the surface again in relation to the things that we've seen happen with Lady Bird, with this scenario. The Lady Bird Lake situation is something I will never be able to let go of. This is another one that I have a bit of an obsession with too, and I still think that they may have quieted down, but I still think we're going to see it happen more and more. Okay, again and again, I should say. So we'll see. And like I said, I hope you guys got something out of that. I know it was a little long, but it's very interesting to me. Therefore, I thought, knowing the community, that it may be to you too. Welcome, Sherry. Good to see you. Great to see you, actually. Let's see. All right, next up to get. We have some of this awesome stuff. Are you back yet, Mama Bear? Maybe not. She had to step away for a few minutes. All right, let's move on to the next segment. And that would be our stupid criminals out here, guys. There's so many of them out here. Mama Bear brings this all the time for us. First off, we have an Alabama man with meth caught breaking into a jail through a hole in the fence, breaking into the jail, not out, but in. Kirk, his name kills me too. Kirk Muckenfuss was caught in the act of cutting the jail fence. Correction officers were waiting for him and chased him out through the hole. In Moulton, Alabama, a man is in the Lawrence County Jail after authorities say he cut a hole in a fence around it in order to bring drugs inside. Takes all types, folks. These people have the smartest thoughts, I'm telling you. Kirk Davis Muckenfuss, 43 of Somerville, faces charges of promoting prison contraband, drug trafficking, criminal mischief, criminal trespass, burglary, possession of burglary tools, and attempting to elude police. According to court documents, Muckenfuss was arrested on Monday. According to a complaint, Muckenfuss was caught in the act of cutting the jail fence. Correction officers were waiting for him and chased him out through the hole. Deputy took him into custody. On him, authorities found a bag with wire cutters and 32.5 grams of methamphetamine. Investigators believe that he planned to smuggle the meth in through a broken window in the jail. According to jail records, Muckenfuss is being held on a $1.578 million bond. What an idiot, folks. What an idiot. Let's break into the jail thinking nobody's going to see him. You got to love it, guys. You got to love it. These people are so smart. They really get me. Unbelievable. This next one, you'll love this one. This next one's great. I wish Mama Bear was here to enjoy these with us. She has her kids are homeschooled and she had to help one of them out with something, so she'll be back. Oh, we're going to do Zodiac Cap. I said that the other day. We're going to cover, it's probably going to be a series because it's going to take a few days, but we're going to do it. It's coming up. So next up, guys, we have armed man forces woman to go to job interview with him at a jail. Texas police say the victim was rescued after she flagged down a detention officer in the parking lot. Again, down in Texas. El Paso, Texas. Man is accused of assaulting a woman at gunpoint and forcing her to come with him to a job interview at the jail, police told news outlets. Matthew Joseph Contreras, 25, assaulted a 23-year-old woman on March 14th and held her captive, according to KBIA. Contreras kept her against her will, even as they crossed the New Mexico state line for a job interview at the Otero County Jail, the station reported. The victim was rescued after she flagged down a detention officer in the jail parking lot. Police told KTSM that Otero County authorities contacted the El Paso Police Department, saying a woman from their city may have been kidnapped. What an idiot. El Paso police launched an investigation and soon issued a warrant for Contreras' arrest. He was booked into the El Paso County Jail on Tuesday, March 15th, on a charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. How stupid could this be? Like, you're going to go to a job in a jail, but you're going to take a kidnapping victim. Are you serious? Like, so stupid these people are. It kills me. It's funny, though. It's good for entertainment, I'll ask you that. All right, let's see what's the next one we have up here. This one's interesting, too. It takes all types, you guys. That's all I can say. It takes all types. All right. We love you too, Miss Paula. Inmate released by mistake asks the judge how to go back. And this is here. This is right here in my home, my backyard, guys. You gotta love it. We have the stupidity here. It's at least the fourth time in the last 6 months that a Cuyahoga County Jail inmate was released by mistake. Fourth. Something's wrong, okay? In Cleveland, of course, 36-year-old man released from the Cuyahoga County Jail by mistake on Friday told jail officials he wasn't supposed to get released and called a common pleas judge to ask how he could go back. At least he's trying to go back and being honest. You know what I'm saying? Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Administrative Judge John Russo said the inmate Francisco Cruz voluntarily went to his required meeting with his parole officer on Thursday and was taken back to the jail. Cuyahoga County officials have so far released little information about the incident, only confirming that an inmate was released. Russo praised the inmate's honesty, and hopefully maybe that'll get him his sentence cut down. Cruz was serving an 18-month prison sentence for drug possession, escape, and domestic violence. That sentence ended on October 2nd, while Cruz was being held in the Cuyahoga County Jail on a separate drug possession case, according to the court and prison records. He pleaded guilty in that case on October 2, the same day that the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections notified the jail that Cruz's prison time was up. I want to know who's working the computers here. Are they high? 4 times this has happened now? I got to know. You know what I mean? Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Judge Peter Corrigan sentenced Cruz the same day to 1 year on probation in the drug possession case and ordered him to serve time at the community-based correction facility, where he could get treatment for heroin dependency, Russo said. Cruz was supposed to remain in jail until a bed opened up or the jail was able to drive him to the less restrictive lockup. Russo and Cruz told jail officers that he wasn't supposed to go free. Jail employees released him anyway. What the hell's going on, guys? Cruz called Corrigan's bailiff after he left the jail and said that he was released by mistake. Russo said Corrigan tried to find a way to get him into the community-based facility, but they told Corrigan they only take inmates who come directly from the jail, Russo said. This is so dumb. Cuyahoga County spokeswoman Mary Louise Madigan said an internal investigation is underway to find out exactly what mistakes were made that led to Cruz's release. It's at least the 4th time in 6 months. So this is happening a little less than like once a month, guys. That's kind of not good. That a county jail inmate was released by mistake. It's become one of the myriad of issues that has plagued the jail, including 9 inmate deaths since 2018. That's not good either. An Ohio Attorney General's Office criminal probe, an FBI civil rights investigation, and a scathing November 2018 U.S. Marshals report that detailed inhumane conditions. This is all facts, guys. Cleveland is a nasty place to go to jail. The first erroneous inmate release happened on April 29th, when an accused bank robber tied to the Cleveland's rat gang was released from the jail despite having $200,000 bond that he did not post. Officials blamed miscommunication between the prosecutor's office, clerk of courts, and jail as the release. The reason DeTwan Whitfield was released. Jacquees Drury, who was supposed to be held on $1 million bond on a murder charge, was released from the jail on June 15th. The Euclid Municipal Clerk of Court's office initially sent an incorrect judge's order to the jail, but corrected the mistake within 45 minutes. Drury was released from the jail early the next morning. Tyrion Harris, who was charged with burglary, was released from the jail on July 13th. A corrections officer was fired for failing to review the proper paperwork, but the officer blamed the county's outdated computer technology. And an inmate who also escaped on September 19th. Cuyahoga County officials have not said how Ferdinand Torres Vargas was able to change clothes and walk out of the jail. I mean, y'all, we got somebody here that's got a murder charge that's out here walking free. That's dangerous shit. 4 people. Okay. It sounds like they need to do a mass firing and rehire a bunch of people, in my opinion. That's just my thought. Absolute insanity. Absolute insanity. I got 2 more here for you guys, and the last one is the best, but these are all crazy to me. Oh yeah, agreed. Danny Green kept Cleveland on its toes, and that's facts. I would give anything to have another Danny Green back around here. Next up, we have potential juror yells that he is guilty and spends night in jail. This is a juror, mind you. Okay. The judge declared a mistrial, finding the man's disturbance has affected the other potential jurors. So in Honolulu, a man called for jury duty in Hawaii shouted, "He is guilty! He is guilty!" outside a courtroom and ended up spending the night in jail, lawyers said. The lawyer representing Jacob Maldonado said his client had a bad day when he made the outburst Tuesday. He was trying to get out of jury duty. Attorney Jason Burks told the court, obviously he took a very improper approach to it, you think? Maldonado had been called as a possible juror in a Honolulu misdemeanor assault trial. The court was about to begin jury selection when lawyers alerted Judge Edward CUPO that a potential juror was creating a disturbance outside. CUPO declared a mistrial, finding the man's disturbance has affected 44 other potential jurors, according to the judge's order. The judge ordered Maldonado's arrest on contempt charges and set a $10,000 cash bail. Maldonado spent the night in jail and appeared before CUPO on Wednesday morning. It was so uncalled for, CUPO said Wednesday. The fairness of a trial is mandated and expected. Burks told the judge that Maldonado's father was recently diagnosed with cancer and his wife was also dealing with medical issues. Maldonado apologized to the judge, saying he wouldn't do it again. CUPO explained the severity of an outburst, comparing efforts to taint a jury or disrupt the selection process as yelling, "There's a bomb on an airplane." We have to take it seriously, CUPO said, and Maldonado was released without being charged or fined. Jesus. If you're having a bad day, then you just need to call off instead of doing something like that because you provoked a mistrial. That's not good. That is not good. Great to see you, Miss Vicky. All right, so last but not least, good God almighty. Always in Florida, you guys. Always in Florida. I'm telling you. This is nuts. We did something like this just the other day. This happens all the time, I guess, now. There was a woman the other day that had $6,200 found in her vaginal area. We now have a Florida police find a stolen Rolex. I'm sorry, not a. This is multiple. Stolen Rolex watches in suspect's vagina. The officers found 4 stolen watches in the suspect's vaginal cavity after arresting her on multiple charges. 4. What? Y'all, what is the deal with this whole thing lately? Seriously. Miami Springs, Florida, police found 4 Rolex watches in a woman's vagina during a strip search. According to the Miami Herald, the woman stole a businessman's expensive Rolex watches while on a date. Delajuria Brookins, 29, met the Orlando man Ramon Diaz at a popular club in Miami Beach on January 8th. The couple later ended up at a hotel. After Diaz went to the bathroom to freshen up, he found his Crown Royal whiskey bag containing 5 watches valued at $108,000 gone. Diaz caught Brookins getting into a taxi with the bag and demanded she give the watches back. Brookins then beat him on the head with an unknown object and left. Ugh. A hotel employee witnessed the incident and called police. Officers were able to find Brookins behind a local store and arrested her. Inside the cruiser, Brookins spit, stomped windows, banged her head, and bit officers, police say. During the arrest, police found one of Diaz's stolen watches. They searched the area and couldn't find the other 4. After corrections officers searched Brookins, they retrieved the other 4 from her vaginal cavity. What the hell? Brookins was charged with grand theft, resisting the officer with violence, battery, and possession of cocaine. She was also charged with criminal mischief when she urinated on the floor of the holding cell. What is wrong with people these days, you guys? What is wrong with people? Welcome, Jane. Good to see you. She said, yes, Rolex watches in her JJ. Yes, ma'am. Is that a new song we could come up with? Maybe. Rolex is in the JJ. Something like that, maybe. I'm sure they'll make a rap song out of it. What the hell is going on? So that's the last one. And thank you again, Mama Bear, for our stupid criminals of the day. Good Lord Almighty. Good Lord. I don't even know what to say anymore. Guys, next up, of course, I like to run the Good Samaritan segment, I call it, where we have some positive stories about positivity out here. Keep our spirits up, because after seeing and hearing this stuff, we need it. Good to see you, WB. I don't know, WB. All right, let's see what we got here. Oops. Yes, Vicky. You. No idea. I mean, you're on point, but yeah. All right, hang on here. All right. Here we go.
Hi, everyone. Superheroes are not always found on the pages of comics and on the big screen. Often, they are ordinary people who live among us. You never know what might have happened on a snowy mountain. For example, this guy fell into a snow crevice at a height of over 1,500 feet, and he was completely buried under the snow. But as his luck would have it, his friend was nearby who instantly began a rescue operation, and his story has a happy ending. The excavator driver deserves a medal not only for his kindness, but also for his skills. Not everyone could catch a cow with such precision. Such a turbulent river is too much even for extreme sports enthusiasts. Luckily, there were real professionals nearby who knew what to do. They told the woman to jump into the water, threw down a rescue rope, and finally pulled her out. Sometimes it doesn't take much effort to perform a heroic act. Fishermen noticed something strange in the sea and ended up rescuing two teenage girls who were carried into the open sea.
You guys okay, or are you in trouble? Okay, stand by, we're getting you. Easy. I'll be behind you.
A former policeman by the name of David Jones was kayaking on a cold river when he heard a desperate cry for help. It was a 6-year-old boy who had been carried off far from the shore.
Are you gonna be able to make it in the shore? You need some help? Okay. I know, just calm down. Calm down.
Luckily, he was wearing a life jacket that prevented him from drowning.
So I just need to be strong for a few more seconds.
But he was very cold and scared. The man comforted the boy, lifted him into the boat, and found his family.
Hi, do you have any towels on? His dad left him stranded out in the middle of the river, and he's saying he's feeling cold. I was just somebody that was fishing, but I want to make sure that he's fine. Then we're gonna call 911. Yeah, we gotta make sure you're doing okay, so you don't have hypothermia or something like that sitting there. Me too. Yep. Again, thank you. You might be seeing each other again.
When many people don't respect the sirens and lights of the police and ambulance, this biker helps to get them through.
You know what? That's amazing. I'll tell you what. That's one thing that I absolutely detested. You don't know how many times that we were en route to a serious call, lights and sirens going full blown, trying to get through traffic, and people just stop and sit there instead of pulling to the right, which is the law. And we've all many times I was almost in an accident because people pull this way or that way. They're getting right in front of you. They don't. All you gotta do is pull to the right and stop. That's it. I'll never understand why people don't get that. And many a times, and it's prevented us from getting there on time sometimes, or faster than we should. You know what I'm saying? They just don't seem to get it. I don't understand that. I've never understood that.
Seal pups got tangled in a net, and these guys are determined to help them. It was very difficult because the net was tightly wrapped around the animals, but they succeeded. A wonderful deed.
They're cute.
A courier's attempt to protect the mother and child in a faulty elevator was very impressive. Rescuers found an 11-year-old boy in the open sea after his family and volunteers called UK's emergency services.
You right, mate? Well done for staying there. You okay? Well done, mate. Come on,
Good
hold on to
Lord.
me. Put your arms around me. Well done, mate. All right. If you walk in there. Well done.
Well, this happened, sounds like over in Australia. Is this what you were talking about, end of the line? If it is, it's wild that I'm playing this and you brought that up.
And here's another excellent job by the station's rescue team, resulting in 2 saved lives.
Right, it's okay. Right, come towards the boat. Come towards the boat. Hold on my hand. Right. Right. 1, 2, 3. Up you go. Right. Okay.
Why is this person knocking desperately on the door? Something must have happened.
Can I help you? The house next door to you is on fire. Your house is almost on fire. Okay, thank you.
The guy did everything possible to prevent his neighbors from getting hurt in the fire.
Hey, Tinsel. Good to see you today. Thank you for joining us.
It's right there in bushes. Fire!
Oh. A guy was driving by, saw that a stranger's yard was on fire, and extinguished the flames. Thanks to his timely response, the family didn't lose their home. A somewhat tense moment when a parachute didn't open. Fortunately, this guy was nearby and managed to resolve the situation.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, that makes
2023,
sense.
the Savio River overflowed in the Italian town of Cesena, flooding several areas. The residents of the lower floors, like this woman and her young son, were particularly affected as they found themselves trapped in their homes. What would they have done without the brave men from the neighborhood? They rushed to their aid without hesitation. A person in a wheelchair was about to be sprayed with a jet of ice-cold water. But thankfully, there are people like this driver who shielded him. Shooting didn't go as planned when a passerby decided that a girl was really in danger. So, if any of our viewers harass women, you should be afraid of this guy. In India, any mother should be considered a hero because a cobra can strike anywhere.
That last one, that's amazing to me. They were shooting a scene for a movie, and this guy steps in because he thought they were really harassing her. That's awesome. I love that. That shows that people pay attention. That shows me there's people out there that are looking around and they're seeing what's going on, and they're seeing something and they're saying something. That's a good thing, guys. There's still good people out there, and it's all over the world, not just here. And it's good to see that. That gives me hope for, as I always say, it gives me hope for humanity still. It's amazing.
A boy noticed that his grandmother
Good Lord.
couldn't get onto the ramp because of the snow. So he cleared it first and then asked a passerby to help her get up. He's so young, it has such a big heart. When the 77-foot fishing boat Susan Rose sank off the coast of New Jersey, the crew had to urgently jump out. And this man almost got hurt, though his crewmates pulled him out just in time.
Hello, Liberty.
Look at the hope with which this...
I'm not 100% sure, Jacob. We're going to be getting into that this afternoon if you want to jump back in then, and I definitely can answer some questions about that at that point for sure. That's a good thing, end of the line. That's a really good thing. Thank you for your question, Jacob. I appreciate it.
Dog looks at its rescuer. So you don't necessarily need a cape to be a hero. A turban will do.
That's amazing because they wear that, their headwear. I believe it's a religious thing. And for them, they took the turbans off, tied them together. I mean, that's amazing to me. That's awesome.
This biker is here to teach us a lesson in kindness. A shopping mall employee helped a man with impeccable timing. It's as if she really does have superpowers. Her actions made this girl really stand out from the crowd, worthy of respect. You accomplish a lot in a matter of seconds when you're a superhero.
Yeah, we actually, I've done ice rescue when I was a first responder, and we used to, I guess it's not really a class, but we would give in services to show people different areas in the lakes that we covered where not to go because they had thin ice in those areas, and just would give maps to the areas that were more dangerous to be on in the local areas. So yeah, in a sense, I guess you could say that we did stuff like that as well into the line.
woman found herself on a crossing just seconds away from an approaching train, and this man deserves a standing ovation. A stalker attacked a girl, and it definitely would have ended badly if it weren't for this brave person. Unfortunately, few people would have reacted the same. A car seems insignificant compared to saving a life. A child was choking, and the entire restaurant rushed to his aid. It's good that the world is full of compassionate people. Simple utility workers detain a criminal, looking like some kind of cool undercover security service. A couple caught this guy red-handed, and the girl handed over the bags to her boyfriend before launching an attack. I hope the trees will recover. Rescuing a horse is obviously a good deed, but it's also very dangerous, especially for the person in the cab of the lifting machine. So he's the main hero in this situation. This police officer became friends with a 9-year-old after a game of basketball, and then came to visit him, bringing him new basketball shoes as a gift. And that's not all. Over the course of 3 months, volunteers repaired the house that belonged to 2 brothers who lost their parents and their grandfather and were left all alone.
It makes me so happy to see that there's good people.
These passionate people hired 100 people to clear the plastic from a river and a forest in Bali. Just think about it. In 2 months, they have collectively gathered 150 tons of plastic. Perhaps, thanks to people like this, our planet still has a chance? During an earthquake, this schoolboy was less concerned about his own safety and instead stopped to help his classmate who has to use crutches. And this guy pretends to be a delivery driver to give a homeless woman a box full of food and other items for her dogs. Usually no one is allowed in the cockpit, but this time they made an exception and fulfilled the dream of a 2-year-old boy who really wanted to experience it.
You like it, buddy? There you go. Wow. Look at that. You want to face her, get a good photo in there?
While many people didn't even notice another person's struggle, this man left his coffee with his kids and came to the rescue.
What's your drink?
A homeless man named Tony dreamt of having a food truck to serve his signature tacos. And these guys fulfilled his dream in less than 24 hours, raising $40,000 and buying a van for him.
I got big news! $49,122!
A touching moment when the policeman is entertaining a baby whose mother was hurt to distract him. This man missed his bus by a few seconds, but thankfully a kind biker dropped him off at the next bus stop. The customers and staff in this cafe couldn't let this lady be lonely on her birthday. A blind boy takes his little sister to school to support her on her first day. A Polish journalist was on live television when he saw that a Ukrainian refugee in a wheelchair needed help.
Give me this. Good.
A farmer risks his life to save a field from fire. You'll be surprised to hear that it's not even his field, but his neighbor's. So double the respect for him.
All right, y'all. See, there are still so many good people out there, guys. That's why I'm always saying the beautiful people, because we all are, and so are you. There's people are like, the world's a mess, everything's just gone, nobody cares anymore. That's not true. There's still so many good people out there. So many of them, and I'm grateful and proud to be surrounded by quite a few of them in here in this community alone. So that's a fact. Absolutely. That is a fact. All right, guys, it's time for a little laughing, a little smiling, and then we're done for the day with this show. So let's see what we got going on here. Give me just a minute to get this loaded in, and we're good to go. And everybody can take a little bit of that positivity that they absorbed today and then go ahead and put it out there to somebody else and let them absorb that as well. No worries, SRB. Still trying to get this to load anyway. Thank you, end of line. Let me get this up and loaded, and don't take off yet, and get a couple laughs out of you before you leave. Thank you so much, Vicky. God bless. It's great to see you today. All right, here we go.
I'm impressed though.
You too, end of line. Thank you for joining us.
Two, three.
Happy birthday to you. Mom.
That's a big boy.
Oh man, look at that.
dangerous.
Okay, Mary's going as fast as it can go. Okay, 12. 12, that's the fastest it can go. Yeah. Oh! Are you okay? Are you okay?
Year, new me. Go, go.
Okay, this is what I have to deal with. He's sneaking in under my door.
Let go. I don't know. Ease her out, Deb. Ease her out.
Your new trick one.
Amber, have you ever seen a swimming pool?
It's quick.
Yeah, the guy James outside. I see him coming, Ricky. Thank you, dear.
To celebrate.
This is a treat. Yes, it is. It's a healthy treat.
Oh, Lord, have mercy. Help.
I think we're gonna be going to urgent care any second.
Jared face planet.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
Oh my God! Bravo! Run it! Get there!
Start turning now.
Like my dog, he bounces like that.
You got it. You got it, son. You got it, son. 10 more miles. 10 more miles to go.
I didn't realize that. Team, I'm coming, buddy.
Oh my God! Oh, Leslie! I'm moving. Oh.
Ooh.
Oh, in the water. Oh no.
You gotta get it.
Oh no.
Ow. Oh, this is going to end badly. Mm-hmm.
Awesome, man.
Face plant.
Oh, Jay.
Okay, it's going. Yeah, it's going.
Ah,
And
that
I
was
have
good.
a visitor. He's not getting off my car. Bird. Bird, go away. I'm going to drive away.
And they've done that before with a refrigerator.
I told.
Guess you can't leave, huh?
Oh my God.
Happy birthday, dear.
Slipped off this. Did you get on camera? Yes. Oh, good. Sorry, Susie.
Have a great day, Vicky. God bless. Thank you so much for joining us. It was great to see you, and I hope to see you again soon.
Oh.
Oh, man.
Good Lord, bro. Get a CPAP machine.
Hey, you guys want to buy a pair of these bird glasses? Pretty cool, huh?
Oh my
All right, y'all. That's going to do it for today. I'll be back here this afternoon shortly. 3 o'clock here now. So within an hour or so, probably for our second show. Of course, based on what everybody seems to want to do, we're going to be back in Idaho talking about some of the new mainstream stuff that's come out. And it's just going to be an open discussion about the case in general, whether it be the new documents, the old documents, some of the new stuff that's been said and stated in different shows that have come out. We're going to review what some of the new stuff is, basically. So join us for that, guys, if you will. Of course, mods will pop into our little meeting session after this if you're available. If not, no worries. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Mama Bear, like I said, got tied up with some stuff with her kids, so no worries. We'll see her again soon, hopefully. You guys are amazing. Thank you all so much again for joining us today. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. For those I won't see here later, for those that I will see you then. God bless, guys. And again, don't forget to love yourselves and love each other. Don't change the thing. You guys are the beautiful people. And don't forget, guys, if you can't trust yourself, well, who else is there? So we'll see you guys soon. Have a great one, folks. Bye-bye.
Life's a journey, let's make every moment shine. Together we share, our hearts so intertwined. Each time you tune in, we're dancing in sync. With every story told, just let your soul think. A little laughter, some love, we're flying high. As we wrap up this episode, it's not goodbye. News on the airwaves, spreading joy and cheer. Thanks for being with us, we'll see you right here. Kick back, take a breath, leave your worries behind. This podcast is magic, a treasure you'll find. With every moment shared, we light up the way. Join us next time for more laughs and play. A little laughter, some love, we're flying high. As we wrap up this episode, it's not goodbye. News on the airwaves, spreading joy and cheer. Thanks for being with us, we'll see you right here. Kick back, take a breath, leave your worries behind. This podcast is magic, a treasure you'll find. With every moment shared, we light up the way. Join us next time for more laughs and play. So hit that subscribe, keep the vibe alive. We're riding this wave and it's set to thrive. With smiles all around, let's seize the day. In this podcast family, worries drift away. A little laughter, some love, we're flying high. As we wrap up this episode, it's not goodbye. News on the airwaves, spreading joy and cheer. Thanks for being with us, we'll see you right here. So gather round friends, it's time to reflect. In this joyful moment, what's next to connect? Let's cherish the laughter, the joy that we spread. Together we'll thrive until our hearts are fed. See you next time with stories anew. Can't wait to share more with all of you. So hit that subscribe, keep the vibe alive. We're riding this wave and it's set to thrive. With smiles all around, let's seize the day. In this podcast family, worries drift away. So hit that subscribe, keep the vibe alive. We're riding this wave and it's set to thrive. With smiles all around, let's seize the day. In this podcast family, worries drift away. So gather round friends, it's time to reflect. In this joyful moment, what's next to connect? Let's cherish the laughter, the joy that we spread. Together we'll thrive until our hearts are fed. See you next time with stories anew. Can't wait to share more with all of you. See you next time with stories anew. Can't wait to share more with all of you.